Hey guys, welcome back to All Gains Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Mike.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Joe.
And we're back with another podcast. What's going on, Mike?
Oh man, I'm so excited to do this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a couple uncomfortable truth bombs that I think have to be said.
There's going to be a lot of different opinions on this.
Definitely.
Concept
It is
of
definitely
relationships
Relationships today, what is going
in
on?
this table. So
Yeah.
this is when our friendships are going to end.
I hope not. It's just a podcast.
So let's just hope not.
So
I think that there's like seems to be a lot of shit going on in these relationships today that I'm seeing. I'm seeing like a lot of deception, a lot of disrespect. I'm seeing like a lot of different. But I see a lot of positive things too. It's not all negative. It's also it's just a lot of weird things.
There's a lot of
too.
weird things.
I think
It's either extreme left or extreme right on relationships. There's never anything in the middle.
Yeah, everything today is so political and everything. Everyone's
it
trying
just
to.
feels like you don't see no more of those like successful like couples anymore. Just something going on that's just not balanced.
It's rare.
I guess
Very rare.
balance is the word. You don't see a balanced couple that communicate and understand each other as much as before, or at least I think as before. But it's something going on definitely.
It seems to be something like it's like men are not even acting like men anymore, and kind of women are kind of receiving that message as like not to not act like women anymore. It's like a weird. I'm seeing a lot of weird vibes.
It's just the social dynamics are so complex right now because there's so many aspects that some women don't even want men, to be men. They're looking for those, like more emotional guys and blah blah blah. While you have guys that want feminine women or they want masculine women. So there's so many like different complex that are just getting out of control.
And then you have women being told they don't need no man, and then it's like, they're trying to push off having babies till longer, which has problems in its own. Because as women get older, it becomes harder for them to like become fertile, right?
Because it also becomes more dangerous to give birth.
Exactly. Like there's more side effects the more you wait. It's perfectly natural for young women to have babies at an early age.
They're not giving that awareness on that aspect, right? With the age gap, because why would they follow that if they don't know the risk of pregnancy?
Well, it's also about, as we talk about in other podcasts, like it's hard today's day and age to like have someone go, oh hey, you're 22, you're perfect to have a child. Have one. You can't because no one's financially stable.
That's
So you can't. So that's why people push it way back is because you can't.
There's no other option.
You can't literally afford it. You want to get to a healthier place and mindset in your life to then support another human being in your life.
Yeah, and if the economy's not good, like there was some study that said women want financially successful men, and apparently that's lacking. And that's one of the reasons is that is like because it's really hard to like get yourself set up these days, like with these jobs.
No, finances will always put a strain on a relationship. It's important to have open communication in general in a relationship, but to have it with finances of who's covering what. And sometimes you have one partner, and a lot of times today you have the woman making more money than the man. That's completely fine, but you have to set up that dynamic of what is going on to make sure that all bills are covered, especially if you have a kid involved as well.
A lot of it's, and if you're trying to rush your life, and it's like if you're trying to get into relationships and stuff and trying to move things forward before you're actually ready, that can cause like a lot of problems in the future, and it's like it can cause crazy imbalances,
No, it's people that...
It was like a snowball effect,
it builds up.
You start with a little thing, moving in together with somebody that you may not know. Then you get her pregnant because you're fucking with no condoms, because she's your roommate now, so you got unlimited access. Now you got a kid. Now you notice that she don't really like you as much as you thought you did because you guys are not having sex as much. And then you get married, then you get it's just a snowball effect. So things like that, you got to be very careful.
I know. If people try to rush, it doesn't really end up that well.
And a lot of people are noticing that too. They're seeing, you can see it now in guys that they're like, oh, I'm not going to get married until blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people are not really feeling marriage right now because, they're realizing that it's a big financial risk.
These days it is.
These days.
A lot of times, like I see a lot of guys lose custody of their children and stuff by the state. I think there's like a big thing going on right now with that. A lot of states give mandatory custody to the mother, and there's a lot of like,
especially if they're not married. I know in a lot of states that if if they have a child before they were married, the automatic custody goes to the mother, and they don't get, and the child isn't supposed to get like the man's last name unless if the woman says that it's okay.
Wow.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, usually the only way you win those cases is if the male in that case the father can prove that the kid is growing up in an unhealthy and unsafe environment with the mother. That's usually the only time they will gain custody in a case like that.
That's crazy because that could cause a lot of problems. Especially like imagine being a dad and like you do everything right, but let's say this could actually happen. Like women, if they don't like where things are going, technically they could just say one day, all right, I want a divorce. So she could divorce him. And then she can take like half of his stuff and take the kids too. And the state will most of the time will take her side now. And when that happens, you could literally it's actually a risk because you could lose you could literally lose everything and your children to the state. And if a woman can prove certain things, or like even if you're not faithful, for example, they can easily take your no visitation rights to your children if you decide to have children. So it can be very risky in today's age. Yeah. So we have to be very cautious on what we do, and we also have to. I think there should be like a vetting process. You really need to get to know someone. That's why I say you need to wait.
People are so quick to rush into relationships.
I know. They need to wait. I don't think it's a good idea to move in with someone before at least until like a year or two of dating. At least because you need to really
That's just moving in. You know, it's not like
that's not all the other steps.
There is a honeymoon stage.
You need time to also like. People take this for granted. You need time to date each other. And I know you go like, oh, what do you mean? Like you're together? No. I mean like go out on dates, get to know that person like completely. The ins and outs, the goods and the bads. Like you need those highs and lows of your first fight, all that stuff before you're moving in with each other. That's a huge step that you're making. Yes. And so you need to make sure you know that person. And it's important to always establish that relationship of going out on a simple date to a restaurant is important. That personal time you spend with each other and you build those moments, that's key to later in life in, say, moving in with someone. You need those moments.
Oh, no, definitely. And also the bad times, like you said, they're key on whether you want to move with somebody or not. Because I feel like, during the first period of your dating experience, you get to realize that a lot of people are just acting up, kind of, until you get to really get to know them. And then when the bad times come in, then you get to see how they deal with stress.
That's
how they
when
deal
people
with
show
problems,
the true
finances.
You can only hide yourself for a certain amount of time.
But when you're dating, you kind of play your role and you kind of, trying to play around and stuff like that. But when the bad times come in, that's when you get to see the real person. And then eventually when things kind of like die down, you get to see how, nobody's acting no more. You get to, see the actual person as they feel more comfortable with you because they don't really know you at first. So they play their roles,
So when times get tough like that, that's when like people say, like ride or die kind of thing, right?
Oh, no, definitely.
You know if your significant other is going to love you for you or they've been along for the ride for some reason, whether it's you have a lot of money or you have some kind of connections or even if they love your family that much but they don't really care about you as much. Those are the times that you're going to learn who's going to be with you. And that's how you progress and move in with someone or have a life, start a family with someone. You need those moments before you rush everything else.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I even see like a lot of problems with people being faithful these days. Like it seems to be like a lot of commitment issues going on. Like it's not just men, it's women too. And
I was talking about we were talking about marriage going on, that people are not really...
they're not feeling marriage, man. They're not feeling it.
But I just feel like there's also a decline in religion. So there's got to be a correlation because, back in the day, if you were a religious person, you would get married and, the whole family concept, go to church.
Yeah, the nuclear family.
But now nobody...
I think less people are going to church now as well.
Something, So
less people are going to church.
There's got to be a correlation between that.
I think people throughout time of
there's no need for marriage except for finance, and like for the status, but not religious.
Well, here's a good question. If any of us were to get married today, what would be the benefit of us? I'm not talking about one. What would be the benefit of us?
Well, the idea of maybe starting a family, that you have somebody that you care for, all that.
That's all I can.
Yeah.
Other than
which could be true or could be false. You never know.
If you're with a a good woman that that actually cares about you and will care about you forever, but like there's with the state, if the state gets involved in your marriage, once again there's a lot of risk. So it's always a risk, no matter what you do. So you have to be very cautious on what move you make, which goes back to why you shouldn't be rushing.
That's why people get prenups too. That's why a lot of guys can end up doing that, especially if you have significant assets that you're afraid that someone is marrying you for. That's why people get prenups.
Yeah,
that's what guys do.
People need to vet, who they're dealing with. Like, it's like vetting your doctor to see if he knows what he's talking about, or vetting, people you trust. You need to really get to know someone.
Yep.
And if you're not, if you're trying to just go right in, and you know, it is, especially in today's age, you need to prepare ahead, and it's if you're not taking proper caution.
But I think that connects back to what you were saying of people can be unfaithful. People have always been unfaithful. Yeah. The way to determine if that person's going to be faithful to you is getting to know them. If you're getting that vibe and you're just starting to date someone and you see that girl maybe is talking to a whole bunch of other guys in her phone, right? You know that's not someone you're going to settle down with. Maybe she's just not at that point in her life, and that's fine. You move on to someone else. That is important to have that communication of what are you both looking for in this case. Yeah. Because don't rush into a relationship because maybe she was never or he was never at that point where he wanted to be in this and he felt like whether it was sympathy or he was forced into it, whatever it is, and then that's what causes people to go back to that base nature where they weren't ready for this and they'd be unfaithful.
It just seems like today, like, less people are trying to be in exclusive relationships. That's the culture. There's always
been. It's called temptation. You know, like he said, you know, the first thing he mentioned was the phone. He already knows that there's 10 guys trying to hit your girl.
Well, that's the thing. Back in the day,
temptation, you know, because you know there's different guys. Yeah. She may be interested one day in one guy, the next day the other. It just happens to be, the risk is high. So that's why, if you get a 1950s housewife a phone. And she notices that there's 10 guys that likes her besides her husband. Yeah. She will start thinking.
That's one of the things that times have changed. So like this is the era which we've had so much access to technology that no previous generations have had. So now we're starting to see the effects of what that technology does, like what Tinder does. Like we see stats on Tinder we've never been able to see. Like this basically puts out the true human nature that we've never been able to see before.
Of course. The selection.
Yeah, selection. Basically, women are tend to be the prime.
No more.
Yeah. But either way, whether male or female, right? You're always going to feel good when someone is paying attention to you that's not your significant other, right? Yeah. Like, you can be with someone, be happy with them, right? But that one time that you might not do anything, but a girl or a guy says, oh, hey, I think you're cute. Can I have your number? No, I'm sorry, I'm with someone. Doesn't that still, that action make you feel good that, man, there's another person in the world that finds me attractive? Like, it's a good feeling.
Well, everyone loves that kind of attention.
Yeah. It's absolutely natural. It just depends on, are you in a strong enough relationship that you're going to act on those temptations, or you are happy with what you have?
Yeah.
That's key.
It goes back to also the bad times. Especially the bad times, that's when the risk is higher because they have doubts on you. They have doubts in the relationship, and then you have 10 guys trying to say hi, and then they're like, okay, maybe they can solve that.
Exactly.
I can move on with somebody else. So there's not a lot of options, Well, there is a lot of options, but for the guys or the females that's getting cheated on, then, what can you do?
Is it strong enough to survive? Is your relationship strong enough to survive those rough patches where either way, male or female, are you going to take those temptations?
I also think a lot of times there's relationships that don't work out because I think there's a lack of genuine desire.
Yeah.
I think that somehow in many ways, like sometimes things just don't work out, and one out of the two parties will lose genuine desire, and then the other partner relationship they'll go into panic mode and be like, why is this not working out? And adding to the social media and all the attention that these
because
get.
The attraction might have been on a surface level.
Yeah,
it might have just been, hey, you saw someone at a bar, you thought they were cute. But you really don't mesh personality-wise, right?
Yeah.
But you joined a relationship because, I don't know, maybe the sex was good or something like that. And then 2 months down the line, you realize, I don't really like this person, Like, why am I with them? But, I can't get out of it now, and that causes people to cheat or causes people to be, doing some dumb stuff.
Great sex can manipulate your mind.
Absolutely.
Big time. That's, we've seen that throughout history. Yeah, like,
Yeah, it's not the only part of a relationship, but it's definitely...
It's a big part
I would say it's understated these days, of where you need to have a natural, even emotional and physical connection through sex.
I would say sex, you
need to be communicating with that as well, and you have to desire each other on more than, I think, a physical level to have a relationship last.
You just have a good point, because sex these days is, for a lot of people, it's not...
It's
a lot. Like, a lot of people don't get a lot of sex.
They treat it like a chore as well, though. That's the thing.
Well, that's like goes into like the chore play dynamic, where like if you do this, and this, maybe we'll have sex later. Like I see that with a lot of older couples. Like obviously, a lot of married couples, they don't have sex as the marriage progresses, and I think that's part of a lack of genuine desire, because eventually in a lot of couples they don't really realize. I don't really know any older couples myself that actually still do. At least a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, a lot of the times, like, I work at, obviously, it's no secret, I work at a convenience store, and I see basically, I get to see what people do in their day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
So you just see, like, the wife is usually nagging how they're doing this, and then they give them the disgusting looks, and you see, like, you could sense that there's a lack of desire. There's a lack of respect, sort of, for these older
But every
girls.
once in a while, I see it.
It's not
I
all bad,
see that older couple that still is joking around with each other.
Yeah,
that's
that
based on those people. On, like I said, working on your relationship. Life is hard, okay? And whether kids and relationships and you know, your kid has a soccer game across town here, and also this other kid is doing this cooking class. Like, it's hard to keep that when maybe both parents are spread all over the place and you're barely seeing each other and you're working 12-hour days and you come home and you're exhausted. Exactly. Yeah, the first thing you're not going to want to do is, hey, I'm going to take a shower and then let's have sex. Maybe you just want to go to bed because you work at 6 in the morning.
I feel like there is different stages on relationship that a lot of people don't seem to understand, that they seem to always want the ups. But once you mature into a relationship, you're going to find out that the sex is not going to be as important. As you get older, you know, you're not going to be thinking about sex as much as we do now because we're young, you know, but as sex gets old, you know, as you get older, the sex is gonna, you know, be more of like once in a while thing, you know. But it just, you have to know that there's different stages, and that the genuine desire is mainly for the kids at the beginning, to get kids and families and stuff like that. But after that, it's gonna die down because that's just how it goes. You know, it's just a part of the relationship. But if you really love that person, not just desire, just love that person. You want them in your life, regardless if, okay, they gained weight, they got older, you guys are not having as much sex, but it's somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can socialize, you trust, you've been through good and bad. That's the type of love, you know, and relationship that you should be able to commit to. But if you're just looking for the sex and how she looks, if she gets older or not, stuff like that, superficial things, then you're probably not going to find that if you're not able to really think about change, because we're going to change too. We're not going to be as sexually active as you think you are going to be.
Oh, yeah. It's
kind of and when you say, though, it's on both partners that you have to continually evolve your relationship. Yeah, exactly. You have to work at it. Like, that is on you guys. You can't be lazy with that. Even when life gets in the way, have one moment a week, one date a week, where you are focusing just on each other, not the kids, not your bills, not your jobs, just the two of you.
I think it's good to always be spontaneous throughout, because
absolutely,
you can't just like come home every day, just expect to just sit down, lay down, get back, just watch TV, and because especially like as you grow older as a man, you're always gonna want to like have those good times with a wife or girlfriend or whatever, and you're always gonna want to give her that little surprise, give her that. I'm calling it positive anxiety. I don't know what the word for it, but give her that positive, like, oh, what's he going to come home with tonight?
Thrill, you know?
Yeah, that thrill. Because the thrill can never die. You could be like 60, 70, 80, and you can still have that thrill. Like, oh, I can't wait till Lovey gets home. Yeah. You know, and
exactly.
If you can keep that going, and if you just kind of like, if you maintain genuine desire for that person, but there's also a lot of times, if you can maintain that desire over the years, it could actually be really great, because when men and women come together, there's nothing more beautiful, because we're complements to each other. Yeah. It's not about being better than the other. It's about working together to create life and to like make each other's lives better.
Yeah, and you're talking in a completely heterosexual dynamic. Like, as guys get older, your libido, your sexual drive just goes down. We lose testosterone. That happens when you get older, and it's your job to maintain your diet, your body, and to make sure you're taking your proper supplements to keep that
you can
alive.
Actually keep your sex drive up as you get older. Yeah, you can actually keep your sex drive going older if you're eating the right foods and if you're taking care of your body correct. If you're not eating good foods and if you're not getting an amount of sleep and you're not keeping as a man, for example, if you're not keeping your testosterone high as you get older, your libido will go as a down, you know.
It's also about your mindset too. Never forget the mindset. It's an understated thing. Having a positive, level-headed mindset also helps.
If you have a good mindset, then you're automatically going to keep your body in good condition as you get older.
Your stress levels are going to be, controlled.
That's why working out, for example, is something you should never stop doing. No matter how old you get, even if if something happens to your body, you could find different ways to exercise and maintain that balance.
You change your workout plan.
Yeah, because there's so many things that you can do, and also it goes back to a healthy diet. You can maintain good levels as you get older by eating the correct foods. But if you let yourself go, and if you're in a relationship with someone and you do not take care of yourself, you do not put yourself first, in essence, that person will sense your vibes, and your potential downfall could be their downfall because you're in it technically together.
Especially
right?
as you get older, it's gonna be harder to get back in shape too. So that's
the older you get, the harder it is to take care of yourself, and it's more caution you should take as you get older to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
you know, like the bones get harder to maintain as you go. That's why you need to take.
But it's the effort that you make. I remember when I was on the tennis team in high school, there was this guy Bob that was at the tennis courts every single day, and Bob at the time was probably in his late 70s, early 80s. And this man could beat people my age at tennis. You know why? Because he's been probably playing for the last 60 years.
He takes care of himself.
So he takes care of himself. He's in great cardio shape. He's obviously very technically sound with the game and knows how to shoot.
He can function. He got mobility.
And he was fantastic with it. You know, he spoke intelligently. Like everything, his mind was active and sharp even at that age. And it was funny because I went there like toward the end of last year in the fall before it started getting really cold, and he was still there.
That's good.
Like 5 years later, he's still at the court, and he's probably definitely in his mid-80s now.
He's alive, you know.
You keeping yourself active keeps your mind and your body young, and that's important.
People don't seem to think that's possible, but it's very possible.
Yeah.
If you either, you know, some people just kind of give up, man. They give up. They don't think that they can do it anymore, or
because they mostly focus on the negative aspect of life. You know, work. You know, chores. You know, they see it that way every day. They go home and just watch TV and just kind of numb themselves. Go to sleep, do it again. But like he said, his friend at the tennis court, he's, you know, talking to other people. He's playing games. He's alive. He takes some time of his day to do that. He's not doing it 24/7, but that 1 hour or two a day that you get to talk, play with other people, laugh, you know, moving, doing things. That's what makes you stay alive. You know,
social interaction is key.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you just go home after work and just shut down, then that's gonna hit you.
But if you start giving up, your spouse or partner or anybody you're with will feel like that, and it'll bring them down too.
But it's so easy, you know.
It's very.
I can't relate yet because I'm not at that age or at that stage where I'm just working and and just tired all the time. But you know, it's so easy. It seems to me that you can just go home and just, you know what, we'll do it another day. But then that day never comes.
Exactly.
You know, and just that cycle, and then, you know, just kind of like lose interest. Or like, there's gonna be a time when you're gonna lose that that way to really talk to your wife in an interesting way, because you guys already know each other and you guys are doing the same things. Like, okay, how was work, stuff like that. But that's why you have to try and keep it alive. But if you let that die down, then you have nothing to talk about. You don't even want to go out with her.
And do different things. Do different activities with each other.
Exactly.
You know, go different places. Try new foods. Play a sport together. Go somewhere, maybe even a simple thing of like, you don't go to your normal movie theater. You go to a different one, maybe a drive-in one. Maybe all those little things give you spark and give you things to talk about.
And you don't even
travel this year. That way you got something to talk about.
Travel is important too.
And they notice the little things too. We may not know it, but they pay attention to what we do.
Buy new clothes. They can talk. You know, different things change. You know,
like some girls can remember what you wore on the first day, like the same exact color, what pants you wear, what shirt. It's like crazy. Like they
don't get lazy. You can't get lazy. You need to constantly keep working on yourself to work on a relationship.
Well, here's the thing. Perfect is boring.
Yep.
So if you have a perfect relationship, chances are it's getting boring. There's no such thing as perfect.
I never trust when someone tells me they're in a relationship and they've never had a fight. I say, BS. What is going on? There's something going on there. What do you mean you've never had a fight? Like, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
And there's always, you know, that it's going to explode. You're right, Mike. Like, you know at some point something is going to happen, or somebody's cheating on someone, because the's no way no one is fighting ever.
Exactly.
And I think if someone's cheating, once again, I think there's a lack of genuine desire. And it's kind of easy these days to kind of go undercover, especially with like the internet and stuff. I always relate back to the internet just because
now with the internet you could do
the internet makes anything easy. Anything. It doesn't have to be a relationship.
Especially as you get older, there's always gonna be a younger guy.
Yep.
You know, more fit, more interesting. Have a better career.
There's always gonna be that guy on spring break that was hot that night and had a couple of drinks.
It works the opposite way too. Think about how many older guys are going after younger girls, right?
Yeah.
And the young girls want the older guys.
It's like
because they're
stable.
Exactly.
Grounded.
It's like Leo DiCaprio, how he always goes after those young models. And they love that. And the media
loves
the same way.
Well, there's a guy right now. Isn't Madonna dating like a guy that's like 40 years old, younger than her?
He's like 30, I think.
Yeah, he's really young.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, and but it's so easy these days to do that stuff, especially with like stuff like Tinder. You can just go set up a dating app and just kind of.
It's not just Tinder. I mean, there's a million apps out there.
Well,
you can get one
popular,
specific for race, for age, for anything
Yeah,
you're looking
There's
for.
one for farmers.
Yeah, there's any
What is it, like ChristianDating.com?
Yeah,
Christian
exactly.
Mingle is one. There's one if you're
JD.
Jewish, if anything.
It's crazy. There's so many of them. I think Tinder and Bumble are the most popular, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They're like the most general.
Recognized.
So I always use Tinder as
Among younger people.
I always
Yeah.
use Tinder as an example because there's so many statistics now that are being recorded, which actually kind of
is-
it shows you more like once again stuff that
It
we
changed the
never
whole
see
social
before.
dynamic now.
It changed the
really
game.
did.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna
because
change
you
the
don't,
future.
you're not talking and meeting each other in a bar in person, getting those
Mm-hmm.
social cues of were they looking at this? Like what was their facial expression? It's hard to tell.
No, no.
And as someone who hates texting, that I hated
know
that
what you mean.
environment in college where it's like you're meeting people. I loved meeting people in college face to face. I hated when you're maybe home for the holiday or something. I'll check Tinder. Why? Because
Yeah.
it's so hard to have those conversations.
starting to like
hey,
social
what's up?
skills,
How
man.
are you? Like, ugh.
Well, one of the statistics I
The
saw.
build up is so slow.
Yeah, what's like one of the statistics I saw now was people. It was like a graph and of how people meet, like in relationships and where they meet. Like online dating was the number one compared to like I think it was like 1996 when it was like the main one was like family events, like clubs, stuff like that.
What's a key
Yeah.
thing, right? If we went around this table right now, if we know, right? Where have your parents told you they met? My parents met in a bar.
My parents actually met, I think, in school.
They met at work.
bar.
Okay, so like looking right there,
You got a
all
point.
those right there were people
Bar.
meeting each other physically
knew
in the
that.
flesh, right?
never
Could you say the same if we got 10 of our friends right over there and said, "Where'd you meet your significant other?"
Tinder, Bumble,
Tinder.
okay,
But like it doesn't work the same. It's just that's because you have more access to
I don't know
technology
many
now.
relationships that have met online that have worked out that well. I just don't know any. Maybe
How many times? Let me ask you. As Andrew is someone who's frequent on those apps, right? How many times do you come across one of those dating profiles that a girl will write and say, "Oh, if we match on here, we have to come up with a better story because we're not telling my parents or we're not telling our family we met on Tinder."
Oh, yeah,
or something.
they
don't
You
like
always
that.
see that
I've seen that.
profile.
It's a pickup line now.
Always.
Also, the main thing I see is the standard dynamic. So on a woman's profile, it's usually going to be a guy must be this. He must be 6 feet tall. He must have six pack
I
abs. He must
hated
have a
when I used to
6-inch
see
cock.
that.
Yeah, he must be like super fit, and he's got to be all these things. And maybe I'll message you like stuff like that. I'm just like,
I mean, you
no.
get a lot of
Not
things.
looking for hookups.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Or
So
just looking for friends. Do you know what this app is?
yeah, you know what they're saying.
Do you think I'm a joke?
Well, that's the same guy
Have I
who.
joked
That's
you?
the same guy who will fuck Chad at the Cancun party on
Ugh.
spring break. That's the same.
You used to see. Oh my god! I used to see all of
He
those.
goes all the way.
By the way, this is not kid
Or
appropriate. so-
one where girls would be like, "Oh, a guy must be at least 6'2" or something like that." Okay,
I'm
well
out.
that
I guess I'm
I
out.
leave the chat.
that's completely effed up to say because that's like me writing something on my profile like, "Oh, you must be this height, this weight." Like I would never write something.
But you
like
can though. But you're gonna get it roasted.
Exactly.
With girls, it doesn't.
But
even
girls,
matter.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Or you even have the political dynamic where I see people like around 2016 when that was going on, where people like, if you voted for Trump, make sure you swipe left. Like, okay,
There's
now
things like
that's
that.
gonna
You
be
bring
our
in politics.
dynamic.
There we go. Don't
Yeah,
want to
there's
talk
like-
about politics.
There's people on Tinder that be like Bernie for 2020.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is this?
It's like you here to smash or talk Donald Trump. Like choose your choice.
Oh my god.
It's a joke. I'm telling you.
They always tell you never talk religion and politics, and now you're telling me on my dating app this is gonna be our first interaction. This is gonna be who I voted
on
for.
the biography. It's not even like.
Oh.
The biggest one I see is not looking for hookups. Like, all right, you okay?
Yeah, sure.
Which is some could be true, but most of that's BS.
Yeah,
Come on.
very
Yeah,
few
come on.
actually mean that, and
Because you might have the intention that you didn't want to hook
Sure.
up, but then when you got into it, you're like, maybe she had that desire or he had that desire where you're like, you know what? I don't see a future in you. Hookup is
yeah,
fine.
things change quick when you meet them in person. Like, there's a lot of catfishing
Oh, yeah.
too. Like, people
Oh,
can
yeah.
use these filters
You
to be.
got a good catfish story.
Oh God, that's
Tell
too
this
many of them.
catfish story to the people.
Wait,
out
which
there.
one? Because it's like
The one where it ended up being
Which one?
the guy. That one.
Yeah, so I think it was 2000, a couple years ago. I was on Tinder, and there was this girl named Angela. So this girl was like, it looked kind of real, but I wasn't sure, and
Right.
I never was sure. So this girl she matched me, and she messaged me, "Hey, can I see a picture of your dick?" And I was just like, no.
Right.
Always
a red flag right there.
Yeah,
red flag number 242.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't send that kind of stuff to the internet.
Right.
That's the recipe for disaster.
I wouldn't
send-
ask them for that too, especially if we just start talking to them like, yeah, send me your tits. Like,
Oh, yeah, that-
why would I say that?
Yeah, so I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna say no to that. And then they kept trying, and then I got this
Desperation.
girl's number, yeah. And I was like, why don't you send me something? So they sent me something that looked kind of real, but I still wasn't sure because, you know, your instinct sometimes always tries to tell you something, and sometimes you have to listen to what it's saying. So I was like, nah, I'm good. So this went on for about a couple of weeks, and I was like, can I please see your dick pic? No, I'm like, nah, I'm good. And then eventually, I think after a couple of weeks of this person trying, it was like, okay, I give up. I was like, give up on what? Trying to see your dick? The truth is I'm really a man. And I was like, what?
Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
dun,
Oh my gosh. And he was like, I just wanted to see a picture of your dick so I could add it to my collection of dick pics from other guys, because apparently a lot of other guys have fallen for this trap. And this guy was just collecting these pictures, pretending to be a girl. So I was about to be the 30-second dick.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. So like it just goes to show that it happens. And you can use these filters to manipulate your body structure and everything.
And then
so
you ran into him in person.
Yeah.
It
turns out this guy that ended up messaging me is Angela. He actually went to my college.
Angel.
Angel.
And
he wouldn't even look at me in the eye because he knew. I was like,
damn, that's so awkward. Like, are you kidding me?
When he revealed that he was a guy, he also revealed his name and everything. And I knew who he was, so I was like, that's horrible.
Yeah, well, now what a guy. You didn't know that previously, but now you know it's a guy.
Safe to say he was not eating healthy. We'll just put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
He was a big guy, yeah.
But still, that deception stuff is like, ugh.
That's evil, man.
That's
in a world of the internet, you have to be careful.
And to try to collect illicit pictures?
You can do
like,
that these days.
Are you kidding me?
A serial dick pic.
Yeah, that's just wrong,
a dick pic
man.
collector. We have that now. We have a dick pic collectors.
Yeah, trophies.
Yeah, a trophy man.
Trophies.
Man, I seen guys too with the same thing, man. You go into these apps that they got, and they got like 10 different girls, just albums separately. Like, that's messed up too. To like have that, especially like there's been people I've known that are going into a relationship with someone, and you're still saving all these old photos from previous hookups.
She knew what she was about.
I don't know, man. I feel like you didn't have communication when you told them that.
You need to be careful what you send to the internet, man.
Yeah,
the fucking internet. Is all I get. It's
fucking internet.
Be careful what you send, man. Because
the bane of our existence these days.
Well, at this stage, at 2020, you have to accept the fact that if you're in a relationship, your girl probably has sent some news. It's a normal thing.
Oh yeah, that's
now,
just a given.
Well, remember, it's like that movie Chasing Amy, when some guys are not prepared to accept that their girl has actually been through a lot of dick in the past.
But
or it could be
people have that problem where sometimes you get in a relationship, and that is an early problem that happens where each way, like you have a problem with your past of like, do you think I've gotten to this point and I'm 35 and I've never kissed anyone but you? Like, yeah, of course I have.
Yeah,
like, of course
people get really scared when they find out that kind of stuff.
But that shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you don't have active people from your past constantly bothering you, which in that case, if you're in a relationship, block those people. But if the past is not an issue like that, you need to forget about it because it's called the past.
Let the past die.
Exactly. If you have genuine
kill it if you have to.
If you have genuine desire for your partner, you will have no need to talk to anyone from your past. It's simple as that.
There's no point.
A person's actions will dictate how they feel about
you.
There's
a reason why it's called the past. It's a reason why I left that person there and I'm with you here now.
Exactly. Everything, it kind of just ends up that way.
I just try to stay far away from the past as possible.
Yeah, and sometimes the past is painful, man. You don't want to remember.
You don't want to know.
I don't even want to think about it anymore.
Exactly.
It can be hard.
I look forward every day. There's no looking back anymore. I can't do that.
No, I totally
agree. The dumbest thing you can do, asking your girl about their ex-boyfriends and stuff like that. Why?
That's what you guys do with each other. Why would I want to know that?
Why would you do, bro?
That's a horrible move for a guy to make.
It is a horrible move.
You're just
I understand curiosity, but you don't want to go that road, brother.
It also feeds anxiety. It also feeds a man's anxiety of like what they looked at with another person, and if they're doing that with you,
he starts comparing himself.
You can't do that because that just gives you anxiety.
And girls do the same thing, man. You tell any of your ex's names to your current partner, whatever they say, they're going home and they're looking up all of those girls, comparing how pretty they are to them. You know they're doing it. Don't even go down the rabbit hole because it don't matter because it's about the two of you.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
Don't fucking care.
But I do feel like there's one thing that can be said is that majority of girls like the fact that you've been with different women because that shows that you're capable of having other women and that you're somebody that girls like.
Yeah.
But with guys it's different. Like if you go down that path that you know that your girl has like 20 bodies, you're like,
that's not that 1950s thinking though. It depends of like what are you comfortable with, right? Everyone has a different body count, right? Are you comfortable with your girl maybe only having 2 before you? Okay, some people they're that's what they want, right? Some people are comfortable. Like one of my friends, he's comfortable. He doesn't care what the girl's body count is. Are they good together? right? He doesn't care.
That matters the person. You're right.
But like that person, like, oh, my girl had 50, whatever. Is she talking to them? No. Okay, she's with me. Some people are not cool with that. Some people set a limit. Oh, if it's over 10, no. You know, it depends.
Okay. How about this? How about if he had cheated before? Does that count? That
like if
count?
he cheated?
No. If you're going out with a girl yourself.
Yeah.
And then she said like, I only cheated on a guy once.
Right there's a red flag.
Okay.
It's a red flag right there.
I agree. That's red flag number 189.
For me, right there,
sometimes the past cannot stay the past.
I can't be with someone that I've known has done that.
Yeah.
Now, yes, will I ask about the situation? Maybe it was, I don't know, they were trapped in a marriage or something like that. They were young, they felt no way out, and they wanted someone to love them, so they did it. Okay, maybe that won't happen again. But is it someone that is this going to be a pattern for us now when you get bored?
And it's already on your head.
Mm-hmm.
If they
that's a red flag that's hard to get over.
If they
you have to talk about that.
If they purposely cheat, that's automatically a red flag. And you should also ask, why are they doing that?
Right.
What in their brain is making them want to be unfaithful?
Why are they even talking in a flirtatious manner? If you're in a relationship, why are you talking to other people in that way? Right there's a red flag right there. Why are you doing that?
Look at what she does or what he does, not what they say, because their actions will tell you everything you need to know.
Yep.
Like,
facial cues are important too.
For example, if you get flaked on a first date, what does that mean? Lack of genuine desire. She doesn't care. Move on. That's it.
Right.
That's literally it. If you get flaked, you don't say, "What happened? Why didn't you show up?"
Right.
The medium is the message. Take what happened.
The chances that it's an emergency is 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that really...
Especially if it happens multiple times.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've gotten the old, I've got to go to the hospital or something. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you get those
and then like 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, oh, my grandma's in the hospital. Like, who's in the hospital? Like, take...
Signs are important to pick up
Women
on.
don't like to just reject you flat out. And they know that some guys don't handle rejection well, so they go nuts.
Right.
So they try to let you down.
Which is a scary environment that they have to live in. I mean, if you're out at a bar, right, and you're hanging out, and maybe you're only by yourself, right, your friends left you or something like that, it is a scary thing where if a guy comes up to you and you reject him and he keeps trying because he thinks you're playing hard to get, that's a dangerous environment that I understand as a girl I wouldn't want to be involved. As a guy, take the hint. If they said no, walk the hell away. They mean no. They're not playing hard to get. Move on to someone else. There's a million people in the city.
Well, that's why it always has been like that, like even in the past that, girls have to kind of play their way out of the situation.
Right. And you can see how uncomfortable they are, right? And like, why would you ever want to make someone feel like that? Okay, that girl didn't like me. Okay, well, there's another girl over there that I can try the same thing.
Well, that's the problem, is that there's a lot of scarcity mindset that I see. There's a scarcity mindset and then there's an abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset is the mindset where if you, like a scarcity one is like, if you get rejected, your whole world just got shut down and it's like, how could she reject me?
And then you're afraid to ever ask anyone ever again.
And you automatically, you live in fear. Yep. So where if you have an abundance mindset, what the different situation is, if you approach a girl and you say, hey, how's it going? And they reject you, you say to yourself, okay, no big deal. Move on to the next. Yeah. That's an abundance mindset.
But it depends on the way you do that, right? If you're having, you get rejected and the next night you go out with your boys somewhere else and you try again, boom, that's a good abundant mindset, right? If you're literally, there's 4 girls in a line and you're literally just going one to the next, that's
in
not
the same place?
In the same place right in front of them, that's also not a good look.
That's
so not, like you gotta watch how you handle that.
Right.
You just do like one a day. Look, don't go nuts, because then they're gonna just know you're full of shit.
No,
like, what's this guy doing? He just went across the room and just as like
exactly. You don't want to see as fake. You don't want to see as like you have all these problems with yourself, because if you're asking someone over and over, this person to this person, you're gonna look at that person. You're gonna wonder, why do they always constantly feel like they need to be in a relationship with someone or be hooking up with someone? What are they masking in their own personal life?
It's that deep insecurity that they have.
People are also very afraid to approach women. And I think, once again, the fucking internet. I blame the internet because we're starting to lack. We're seeing in the younger generations, we're lacking these social skills to talk to people. Mm-hmm. Correct. And it's like we're being afraid to talk to other people.
People have literally the anxiety just talking on the phone with other people.
Like
that's a huge issue.
Yeah,
I can't call my friend.
I don't like talking.
That's your body reacting.
I don't like talking on the phone to people I don't know. If it's like, if you guys call me, I pick up in a heartbeat.
But sometimes it's even people with their friends. Like, oh, why are you calling me? Text me. Are you kidding me? Like,
who texts? Who calls it?
I feel like there's a lot of anxiety because, for example, if you don't know how to swim and you try to swim the first time, that adrenaline has to be there so you can learn how to swim and survive. Mm-hmm. But eventually, as you start to swim and get used to it, the adrenaline, the anxiety that they call it, slows down. But if you start, you stop talking to people constantly, you let that skill go, because it's a skill to be able to talk and communicate. If you slow that down, your body's gonna react to it like it's something unknown. Which a lot of people it is these days.
You're right.
So as they lose that track, their body's just reacting to something that they don't know. So that's why they call it social anxiety. It's just that the fact that you haven't trained your skill, you don't talk to people as often. Because when you're on the phone, there's no anxiety because you do this every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you get a little, you give somebody that they don't know what a phone is, they're probably like, oh, what the hell is this? And they get that anxiety for it. But then, there's no danger to it. So that's something that people have to understand, that the social anxiety at first is gonna happen. You're not gonna be perfect all the time.
You gotta get over.
But you gotta,
you have to practice. You have to get
awkward,
out there.
but you have to go through it, and then eventually you'll be able to talk and be able to have the eye contact, all those skills.
That's why it's good to go to different places. That's why you need to go to different social places and make some friends, and not to be afraid to talk to a girl. There's a lot of guys out there right now that are afraid to talk to a girl. It's like one of the hardest things to do in the world. Like, it's like a fear of heights or something. It's like to that level.
Well, it's a lot harder these days too, because now girls see that as, okay, why is he approaching me? He's weird.
Is it creepy?
It's creepy. But still, you should be able to do it yourself, just for yourself, just so you get to talk and you get that out of the way. Like,
you
all right,
practice your social skills, and you risk getting rejection, which I think it's a masculine thing to risk getting rejected, because doing anything risky, I think, is masculine, and it's important.
Even in 2020, I always say, if a girl, if you like a guy or you like a girl, or however you go, and you find them attractive, go up to them. It doesn't matter if you're a girl or guy. Make the move. You can make that effort of just like, hey.
For yourself. Yeah, definitely.
It makes you feel so much better.
And you can be a confident person regardless of whatever sex or whatever orientation you have. Do it.
And even if you get rejection, the truth is that rejection is better than regret.
Always.
So it's better to get rejected by that girl or guy than never to go up to them at all. And then you walk away thinking, wow, what would have happened if I did go up there?
A lot of people don't seem to know the approach that we're talking about. We're not telling you go over there and say like, oh my god, I think you're so beautiful and stuff like that. No, you don't gotta expose yourself.
You don't need a corny
All you gotta
pickup
do
line.
is ask for her name and okay, what do you do for
just
fun?
start a
like
conversation.
That. And if you don't like it, you'll notice really fast.
It's about,
and then get it done.
It's about being authentic. I think women are very good at picking up social cues and stuff like that. I think it's with the way their brain is wired, that they can pick up when you're being authentic and when you're just playing by when you're reading a script.
That's intuition. You can tell that too from a girl or anybody.
You can tell immediately, especially like a customer service thing, as we all work in, right? You can tell when you're talking to a customer, right? Regardless of any intention, right? Whether they want to talk or not. Right? You walk up to them, the way they act, their social cues, the way their tone of their voices, you can tell, hey, we're gonna
when they're off.
We're gonna have a conversation about, let's say, sports, right? It's a conversation, right? You can tell immediately, do they want to have this conversation, or do they want to be left alone? They're going to roll up their window, or they're going to walk away from you, right?
Yeah.
You can tell that immediately. It's the same thing when you're in the dating environment. You can tell immediately when you walk up to someone, have a conversation for 30 seconds. Okay, is this worth continuing, or should I just walk away now?
All you gotta do is be in the present moment. I feel like a lot of guys, when they approach women, they're all in their heads.
Yeah.
So they're not noticing that they don't even want to talk to them. They're just like thinking, okay, maybe I should ask this. But just look at what's happening. Is she turning away from you? Is she like kind of like looking at her friends, telling you, giving you signs that you don't want to, she don't want to talk to you?
Like, get me away from this guy.
And I wouldn't say as well, like when you're at a bar, don't walk up to some random person, right? Pick up throughout the night of like, is that person obviously number one with someone? Are they just out with all their friends and they don't want to be bothered by anyone? Or are they looking at you across the bar? Or they're looking at other guys across the bar? Okay, there's interest where maybe they're looking for someone. So that's a person to approach. Not someone who is minding their own business. Okay, well, of course you're going to have a negative reaction because they never wanted to be bothered.
Exactly.
So when people open themselves up to conversation, those are the people that you approach because those are the people you want to talk to.
If you guys know you guys are staring at each other, most likely you have to make the move.
Of course. So most women will not make the first move. It's just
you'd be surprised though. Like in my time,
some will.
Even at my time at work, I've had people since I've been working there where a girl actually gives me their number.
Oh yeah,
and
some
not the other way around.
Just go.
It does happen.
I can vouch.
Oh yeah, that does happen. Not a lot, but when they just sometimes you just really attractive.
Go for it. Whoever you are, go for it.
Yeah,
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Correct. That's why. Once again, rejection is better than regret, and
And it's a great story. Now you got something to talk about.
Exactly.
Low key, with your friends. Like, oh, man.
But building off of your points with technology and then with people being so scared, right, as opposed to dating apps, you know why people are afraid of that stuff? Because in the texting world, not even being on the phone, right, you can edit whatever you say. You can sit there on your phone, right, and you could think about for a half hour what I'm going to say in this text message to make it perfect.
Exactly.
When you're on the phone, or when you're especially in person, right, everything is snap judgment, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have those moments to think about the perfect line,
that's why
the perfect thing to say.
Your brain has to.
And that's
reply.
what happens when people are on Tinder or something like that.
That's true.
Is they can think about for 3 days the perfect line I'm going to send to this girl to make. Out of all the guys that are going on, she's going to notice me because I said this.
Make her what?
In person, that ain't going to work like that, right? You need
Yeah.
to have more of an authentic general approach
it needs to just be you.
And people are afraid. They're afraid when they can't edit their lives and they can't edit the things they say
because
when they get away from technology.
They don't want rejection.
And that's not, you can't go for that. No one on this planet is perfect.
Everyone will get rejected at some point, but you have to practice at least. You have to go for it.
It really happens.
Like
when,
if
you
you're
know,
at a bar, for example, and you see a woman across the table and she's looking at you like with pure eye contact and she's like smiling or something, maybe her hair's waving back and you don't see she's with any guy, maybe she's with a friend, she's giggling, and she's kind of, it's like that intuitive, like, come over here and talk to me, please. You know,
and there's differences between smiles. Guys especially, will take that for granted. Oh, that girl smiled at me. Oh, she wants my number. No, maybe she was just being polite. Yeah. Right. What are the other social cues beside the smile that is going to get you to approach that person?
Right. There's also different body language.
At least for me, the fact that if she stares at me, she knows that I was there, then I'm able to approach that person because they know I'm there. You know, it's not just some random guy. She's seen me and she knows I saw her. So there's that, you know, but like you said, like it doesn't mean that she wants my number or anything. I'm just not gonna approach her and see what happens.
Yeah.
But a big one I always find is when you're looking away and you look back and you could see that they immediately quickly looked away because they were looking at you while you weren't looking. That's a huge cue right there.
That is a good sign.
Like,
right?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
It's just taking that one step. It seems to be the hardest. With everybody on social media and Tinder and Bumble and these dating apps, it makes a lot. People would rather just do that and play it safe. But playing safe doesn't always
Bumble's
make it
the
better.
interesting one, though, right? Because the
the
woman has to message first, right? So it creates, I think, a really cool dynamic of, all right, if she's not getting her inbox blown up with 900 guys, she's selectively choosing who to message. So if you do get that message, you know, okay, this might be worth my time.
That's why websites like Plenty of Fish don't work, I think, anymore, because you could just message anyone. I'm sure the guys...
Like go crazy on the inbox.
Here's something interesting. So last time I was in a relationship was about 2-3 years ago. I actually wanted to do a test. I wanted to find out something. So I took my girl at the time's phone and I downloaded Tinder. I just made a basic account, nothing crazy in the bio, nothing, just like 2 pictures of her. And within I think 2 hours, I had about 20 matches. And I was getting messages because when I went on her phone, I just went swipe, just to see what I would get. Within like 2 hours, like 20-something matches, some guys like locally saying hey, and saying really honestly dumb stuff. Yeah, like really dumb.
Yeah,
like
pick-up lines they find online and stuff like that.
It would be like hey beautiful, or just like, and they would like hey want to have sex right now. It's just crazy stuff that you never. Never.
That's the world that they deal with though. That's why sometimes I really do feel bad, and I get why when a guy walks up, whether it's me or you, right, and they're so sour to immediately reject you because look at what the bullshit that they have to deal with on a daily basis. Of course they don't want to talk to you. They don't know you. Yeah. Go away.
90% of the things that guys open with is something they would never say to their face. Mm-hmm. So that's something interesting to think about. Most guys never...
That's a line that people say, hey, want to sit on my face. That's a line I've seen people use before.
How many guys actually go to or go in the bar, hey, want to sit on my face?
Why would you say that?
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I've actually seen... hey, man, whatever works for you, bro. Whatever works for you.
I've actually seen someone do
that. That's a later in the night line.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I seen someone say that to a girl drunk, and the girl like threw a drink into his face.
Exactly. I mean, like, have some respect out there for the people that you were trying to talk to. Respect is key.
I see a lot.
That's why now the best way, if you're not gonna do it through online dating, is through activities or friends. Because approaching now is just it's way harder because, like you guys said, we're not on favors now. All these guys putting that bad reputation. Nobody thinks the same as we do, and they don't see it the way we do it. Yeah. So it makes it harder for us that we understand rejection. We understand when to, kind of move on, but they don't see it that way for us. So now you have to somehow, get to know a girl through a shared activity or work related. And that's the best case scenario when you're not doing it online. But now if you do it online, then she's the one that wants to get to know you, based on your profile or whatever. So that makes it easier. But it's way harder now. It's like a lottery for certain guys to get girls on Tinder or Bumble.
It's hard because
to have an interest on them with so many other guys. You know,
girls' social media apps, they get bombarded with messages all the time. So it's just like they're already bombarded by that. So
it's a lot of distractions for yourself. You know,
I feel like when people are, at least relationship wise, if we go back to that. When those ones are successful, it's because that significant other was introduced from somebody's friend or something, right?
Right, you get that vouch.
Because you could have someone literally hype you up, basically, and be like, oh, this is a good guy, this is this. And so now it's easier where it's, okay, even though you're complete strangers, you do know things about each other because both sides have been feeding that information. And so now it has, I think, way more of a probability of being successful at working out and having a good, stable relationship.
It's a good reference, you know?
Yeah, it's like literally having a resume that you give over to someone.
That's why when they say don't have female friends, sometimes a good investment because they have friends, you know? So
you never know what's going to happen. You never know.
Oh, I hate when people say that. That's my number one pet peeve when people will say, especially when girls will say, oh, you can't have female friends or something like that. I'm like, yeah, you can. You can totally have a friend that's female and literally be completely platonic and there is no intention whatsoever.
Doesn't mean that
Are you mature to do that? If you're not, then you'll do something. If you're mature enough, you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But a lot of people picture like you playing Barbies with her, doing girly stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Or they picture you guys, or you guys having sex on the side or something. It's like it's not like that. Like they could be like just a typical normal friend.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't see it that way. Nope. But it don't matter.
Nope.
You know, do your own thing.
And that also speaks to if you're in a relationship and that becomes up of an issue, then that means your partner has insecurities, right? And so you need to talk about that of why don't you trust me? Why do you think something's going on?
Especially if you introduce her to your friend, like if she doesn't,
tell you who this is,
she got a friend, but she won't let me meet this person, then I know it's a problem.
Right, that's a red flag. But if you met my friend, right, this is my female friend, right, and here's my partner. You guys hung out together. You know each other. You guys have your numbers of each other, and you guys have texted before. Okay, well, you know nothing has happened.
Now you're all friends.
Yeah.
So
important.
Get a bunch of good friends like that.
Well, yeah, exactly, because a lot of people have social anxiety, so they don't even know how to make friends no more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody's secluded, isolated.
I also see, it's like, I see a lot of guys, neglecting their friends for these girls. Like, I see that a lot now. I'm seeing that a lot, man. I'm seeing, a lot of people, they defer to their partners rather than their friends, and that creates a lot of conflict because I think a man needs to be on his purpose, and he needs to be also, balancing
circle,
he needs to balance his friends with his relationship with his girl.
Everyone needs that. Everyone. I have friends that are in relationships, right? And the girl is the one that I notice a lot that has no friends. No nothing. And so they're always going out and clinging to the guy and hanging out with his friends all the time. That's not healthy, even for their relationship and from her perspective. Like you need.
That's a red flag. Why do you not have friends?
You need to have your own time. You need to go out with your girls and your people.
Where your friends at?
And be away from your man's friends because if it comes to it, well, you guys break up. Okay, now you don't have him and you don't have any of his friends because they're all going to side with him. Obviously,
it happens all the time.
That's a bad sign.
She fucks the gang.
Maybe not that, but that does happen too.
It is a bad sign, man.
But it's like when you neglect your friends for your partner, and then you guys break up, and then you lose your friends too. That's a bad dog. Yeah, that's bad.
For me, never
neglect your friends, man. Never neglect your friends.
And if your girl doesn't let you see her friends, or somehow prohibits,
red
flag, extreme red flag number 168.
Yep.
No, that means she's controlling. She wants to control.
So you don't want. You don't want to be with someone who...
Or she needs to be...
You don't want anyone who's controlling.
She needs to be there when you're hanging out with your friends? No.
You don't want to be with someone that restricts your life.
Because that also means you don't trust me either. So that's another problem with a relationship right there. I can just be with the guys. There's not a single girl there. And you still don't trust me to hang out with them? That's an issue.
I don't like that. It's like, I don't want you to go out with your friends tonight. Like, why not? Because I just don't want you to.
Because people also, if you have in a relationship where the person has no friends, and so they're always clicking to their significant other's friends, if they're not there, right, what do you have? You have FOMO, right? You have the fear of missing out, right? Because you don't have any social circle in your own life. You don't have any experiences that you're making. Remember, as far as we know, you get one life to live. Don't waste that being basically an attachment to someone else. You need to have your own experiences. That's key. It's very important.
You need to be the master of your life.
Yeah.
And not let anyone tell you otherwise.
Those people, your significant other, should always be a compliment to your life, not a hindrance.
Yes.
Ever.
And I feel like even though, like, sure, it's bad when it's constantly like that, but once in a while, I notice that every girl, at least, she would throw at least one comment, like, oh, you know, you should hang out with me, just to, like, kind of be playful, stuff like that. So it's, like, a balanced thing, too, because it's more of an ego thing that they want to do that, too, just to, like, play around.
But also, it's important, too. I've seen guys where they'll turn
around
and they're always hanging out with their boys.
Exactly.
And, all right, so don't also neglect your girl.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have a balance there where you can understand maybe why she is not responding to you, or all of a sudden our texting is off that day. Yeah, because maybe she's mad from the night before because you've hung out with the guys 5 straight nights and have completely disregarded her.
Right.
You need to see each other and meet and talk and have healthy communication there. Yeah. You need to balance both your friends and your relationship.
Yeah.
There's no roadmap. There's no guide. You got to figure it out.
Everyone is different. Everyone has different preferences for the way they want to live. I think you need to live out the way you want.
Yeah.
Not for anyone else. You need to live the way you want. And you need to chase excellence.
And let people know from the beginning, you know, that's what you want.
I think it's very important to set your boundaries, kind of like let them know what you're doing, like what your intentions are. So they, first of all, that's authenticity. You're not trying to act like you're being straight up. You're trying to express what you want and what you're looking for, and you're not trying to,
Well, that's attractive. Yes. I like an honest girl. Like,
right?
Why not?
You tell me straight up, like, oh, this is just a hookup. Boom. All right, cool. Thank you for telling that. Oh, hey, I'm looking for a long-term relationship. Okay, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not looking for that. Okay, well, this ain't going to work out then. I ain't even going to do anything with you or try anything because I know that your mindset's completely different. That's really messed up of me if I do something like that.
Yeah, people need to understand that not everyone's goals are the same, and sometimes two different people are not compatible. Sometimes you have to move on, which goes back to abundance mindset. You need to not get like so hung on to one person that because people
Well, you have to be grounded yourself.
Yeah,
that's the point. Yeah. You know, if you're not grounded yourself, then you will have that scarcity mindset because you're like, oh my god, you know, I have nobody else. Yeah. You know, but if you can take care of yourself, people are gonna know that, and then the right people is gonna come up to you. It just happens.
Yeah, but a lot of times people focus on their individuals so much that when something does happen, like even if like they lose their minds, and you could sense that too. Like if you're a worker, like that's one of the, for example, that's one of the big things about when coworkers date each other and then it goes sideways. And I've been there. I've been there.
It's always a tough thing, right? Because if it goes sideways, you have to see each other at work, which creates a negative work environment. Sometimes
and everyone else can pick up on that.
Yeah, and sometimes work is an escape, right? Even if you're not fighting and everything is perfect, do you want to spend 24/7 with that person?
Exactly.
Like, no. You want to go to work and have your work friends and have your work experiences and not have that person there, or you're afraid of what you can say because, like, you can't make maybe those same jokes because your significant other's there, or, like, are your coworkers going to get comfortable with your significant other and the jokes you make, so they're going to make jokes that they shouldn't to that person, and like so that creates an uncomfortable tension among you all. Like, of course, it's never good.
And I can relate to that because when I worked at Wendy's and I dated a coworker firsthand, and it went good until it didn't go good, and then when it didn't go good, it was a complete wreck. So
it always sounds like a good idea at first, man. It always does, but it never
when it ended,
is.
She ended up banging the other guy at work, literally, and then I was just like, what? You know, this is like
and how'd that make you feel?
Horrible.
Exactly.
And my mood affected everybody else's mood. And now, make sense.
Every time you went to work, how'd you feel? Did you feel uncomfortable? Did you feel like, man, I don't want to be here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's never a situation.
And then I quit.
I
just quit.
Yeah. That was probably one of the contributing factors.
It was.
Why you did.
Because it's bad.
And the whole situation too, right? When you date a coworker is something that everything, if you guys break up and it goes sideways, everything's tainted at work, right? Okay, that's where, we used to talk over here. Or this is the first time we met over there, right? Seeing those things, then every day after it went sideways, you're going to despise the place you're at and you're not going to want to be there anymore.
Exactly. They're going to notice what type of person you are.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
saying? Or you're going to hate the place you work because it has too many memories and it's too painful to be here now. Yeah. On top of seeing that person every single day.
Yeah. You have to be very careful.
And you could ruin maybe a good work environment that you had or a good job that you had just because you got involved with
someone. That just shows that you're not, professional at your job. Because you just doing what like you're emotionally doing what you feel.
You're running on your emotions. You're not really. You're not trying to work. You're in your head too much, and it's going to distract from your work.
Business is business. Keep that away from your relationships, because all right, now let's say you start working with your girlfriend after you met her, and you notice how bossy she is, and you don't like that aspect, which has nothing to do with you, but you don't like how she treats other people.
Yeah,
you know, and
that creates a conflict,
and that affects your relationship, even though it has nothing to do with you, because
it could be a simple work problem, right? What if you have to side with someone else, another coworker that's not her, because that coworker is right? Now you go home and you go, well, why didn't you take my side? Because you were wrong in a completely business professional way. You were wrong. That
she
creates
gives you
tension.
attitude at work. Oh, no, the most embarrassing thing.
Well, I've seen that where like the guy dating his boss, and his boss is a woman.
Always a problem.
When that woman tries to tell him what to do, his ego kind of starts clicking. It's like, she's telling me what to do. I don't like that, and then it creates a conflict.
Or plays the other way of
be
favoritism, right? Where other coworkers then could see, like, okay, well, you're only doing that because that's your significant other.
Oh, so
right?
you got promoted really fast.
Right, and so that creates tension among your work environment as well. Typically, I usually say stay away from coworker relationships, especially if you're in the same department in that place.
That's another
like if one works in, let's say you're in an office building, one works in HR and the other one's in finance. Okay, like you might see each other, but you're not in any near departments. If you're both, let's say, like working the front end of a convenience store and you're constantly together, not a good sign. Don't want to do that.
Another thing too is if it's a dead end job that you plan to eventually leave or something like that, something that you're not really interested, then fine. You know, you can probably do that.
You could tweak
that
a little bit.
But if it's a career, something you're passionate about, what you study for, what you invested.
Right, you don't want to leave. I
earn money, and you want to like throw that away because of a relationship at work. It's too risky.
It's the same way when people throw away their lives to move somewhere else for a significant other, or when everyone was going to college, that was the big thing, right? People would stay home because, their significant other's going to community college, so I want to stay with my baby, or I want to stay with my boo, or something like that. It's like, anyway. I'm like, you might break up in 6 months, and you had a full ride. I've seen it.
Oh yeah,
and you had a full ride scholarship somewhere. Are you kidding me? That's your life. You need to go take that.
Yeah, exactly. You should not let your significant other get in the way of your purpose.
Right, and if the relationship's strong enough, even long distance, that's gonna last then. What? You're going to Delaware and the person's in Jersey? You can't drive 3 hours if your relationship is so good?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
I don't like that.
It's never a good sign.
That's what I'm saying. People in the bad times, they don't follow through.
And I think your abundance thing, sorry to interrupt you, your abundance thing as well is it's important to understand that obviously it goes without saying all relationships are different, right?
Oh yeah.
Some people though, especially when you're not living together, they only need you guys hang out twice a week, but it's great and your relationship's strong and no one's cheating or anything else. Some people need to see each other 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. There's nothing wrong with judging that person. If you have a social circle outside and you have your own life and you only want to see your significant other twice a week and they're cool with that as well, don't judge them and say, "Oh, why do you never see me?" People are different. You operate different. That person, maybe you only see each other twice a week because you both have amazing careers and you are really busy. And you're mature enough to recognize that, okay, we have limited time together personally, and when we have that time, we're going to take advantage of that time. Well, it's like there's nothing wrong with you. There's no set number you need to see each other.
That's correct. You don't have
to. You know, there's no rule. You know, everything works out.
There's nothing in the there's nothing in the rule book that says you have to see each other every day. In fact, I know there's plenty of stories of like there's people who like have to go on their business trips, so they only can see their like wife or something once a week. But when they get back, it's the most amazing experience ever because that anxiety's built up. That positive
and you
anxiety.
have this now. You have that.
The internet.
You can constantly talk all the time.
You could just FaceTime.
It's never.
Also, there's a lot of it comes to expectations and other people minding your business. You know, because when I was full time in school, full time working, I would see my girl once a week if. You know, but I'll try.
Yeah, why? Because you're busy, right?
Right,
exactly.
But then her friends will be like, "Oh, you know, he's probably playing you. He's probably only once a week."
I'm
proving me. Practice like that, and then
people love drama. People
that's a lack of maturity.
So exactly,
they'll try to infiltrate your relationship.
So if your girl is not mature enough to understand that, then she'll switch lanes really fast. You know,
be with someone else who's gonna get that.
That.
Hey, I have a career, or she has a career, and that I need to recognize that like I'm an important part of that person's life, but I don't need to see them every single day to know that they love me or know that they care about me.
If you're on the same terms, then they'll understand. And if they're not, you're not on the same terms, then sometimes it's not meant to be. The truth is sometimes it's just not meant to be.
And sometimes you have to have that conversation with your significant other. You got to sit down and, as painful as it is, talk your problems out.
Exactly.
Look each other in the eye, have an in-person conversation, and be like, okay, this is where I think we need to improve. This is the problems we have. This is where I think we're great. How do we fix this?
Yeah. You have to,
Don't be afraid to admit defeat sometimes.
Something is bothering you. You have to say it as soon as possible.
I believe in being direct.
Yeah. You let that build up, that'll eat away at your literal, like, your soul, your mind. It affects everything.
And it's going to come out worse when you talk about it.
Because you're
going to be angry,
you're going to blow up, and you're going to say something you regret.
That affects your well-being as well. If you're not, you have to be direct and, express what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, you're already doing.
Communication is key. Something that we all know that.
It's so stereotypical, right? It's so generic, but it's so true. It's so true.
And if you're lacking social skills or you're not really good at it, sometimes it's hard to even get that communication across.
You have to be open.
Because sometimes it's not that you're communicating; it's what you're communicating. Mm-hmm. So it's sometimes individuals have a hard time trying to communicate what they're trying to say, or they say in a bad way they didn't mean to. Like,
or they're influenced by fear, how they come up, how they approach the situation,
how their past relationships have been. Oh, so I can't ask this person or say this that I have this problem because my last partner blew up and had a huge fight and stormed out of the house. Okay, well, I'm not that person. Try it. So have that dialogue, that open dialogue with them.
That's why every situation can be unique in its own. It's so many things that are going that are.
Everybody has their own. How do you call those? Defense mechanisms and their own way to approach things and their own communication. So you just gotta figure your person. That's why you gotta get to know them, which brings us back to the beginning. I just think know a person and then see,
You just shouldn't let it get in the way of your well-being, and you should. It's like, it's.
I feel like the real way of a relationship is that you live your life together. You live your own life, but with that person. Mm-hmm. Like, they live their life, you live your life. It's
a compliment.
You just live life together. You do your thing, they do their thing.
Mike, give us here, and the people listening out there. You're the one here at this table who's been in by far the longest relationship.
You're the longest relationship I've ever been in.
But give us why it works, why it's still going, and you guys are great, and like why? What is the most important thing that you guys have?
And how
do you have that communication?
Yeah, we talk about shit all the time. And we don't always see each other.
Yeah.
But if we see, the only time we ever see each other if it was going to be every day, would be if we both got out of work at the same time, and I went to like her house or she came to my house. We went to sleep, woke up the next day. I left because I went to the gym. Mm-hmm. She had to go to work in the morning. Whatever. We still saw each other. It was only for a little bit. We had a moment of connection, like sleeping next to each other or whatever it is, and then going. And then going on with our day, still communicating either through the internet or seeing that person. That's what, and also, like we have 1 day where we're both off on the same day. Mm-hmm. So we try to spend the majority of our day together. Then because then the other days, we're really busy. I'm going to the gym in the morning, or I'm going out running in the morning. I'm doing something. She has work at night when I also have work at night. Right. We always do these different things.
You'll be on rotating schedules. You could be on.
Normally, we always have either we have the same exact schedule, but with 1 day off the same, or like she has a whole bunch of different shifts and I'm still working the same days, and we always try to make it where we don't have to see each other. We can still talk. It's not going to be a problem. But once we have that 1 day, we're good.
Do you ever guys talk about planning date nights and things like that, of making sure that you guys are doing different things,
or do you surprise her as well?
Sometimes we do both. Wait, what?
It's a good question.
Oh yeah, that is a good question. Yeah. So yeah, we'll plan date nights and stuff. Sometimes I'll just be like, hey, I'm gonna come get you. We're gonna go do something.
Right, so that's spontaneity.
Yeah, exactly, and that they love that stuff because that creates whoa, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Okay, where are we gonna go? What are we gonna see?
I think
are we gonna fuck? It's like.
I think it was a couple months ago. I was even I said to her, I was like, hey, be ready at 6:00.
Right.
I'm gonna come pick you up. And then we went. I don't even remember where we went. I think we wanted to eat, and then I took her to see a movie that night. And then
doesn't even have to be anything extravagant. It's just doing that, the action.
Yeah, I picked her up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was looking nice. I told her to look nice. So she looked nice, of course. And then we went out and did shit.
Yeah. I think that's really important, man. I think that's
simple. Keep it simple.
You keep it simple, but you show interest on a constant basis in each other. I think that's important.
What I think she really likes is that you're a man on your purpose. You're doing this right now, and we're working on this YouTube channel, and you're working a full-time job. You're also in college to pursue a degree in business.
Goals are important.
And exactly. You're not jeopardizing your goals for anybody else or her. You're living your life, and she's a part of that life.
Yeah. That's what I told her from the beginning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I told her from the beginning. Because I never gave myself a fucking purpose.
Right.
In my past, like my past relationships, I've always screwed over my purpose.
Right.
You know,
you
for
never
that
put
other
yourself
person.
first.
I never put myself first. So, and I learned that. And so when we started dating, I said I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna be on my purpose. You know, I want to get these things done.
Right.
And if you're down for the ride, let's go.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
And women think that's very attractive. That we're on a mission in life. We're trying to do something. We're setting up something big. You know, we're creating our own empire, so to speak, and that's a great thing.
No, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's a regular customer too. So she came in a couple weeks ago, and so she's been in a relationship with her boyfriend for 2 years now.
Okay.
And the issue is, she's like, oh, and I was like, oh, you know, how's it going or whatever, and you know, she brought it up, right? So she wanted to actively talk about relationship. That's not information that I need to be privy to, right? I don't know him or anything, but you could tell that someone, as I'm her friend, that you want to talk about that situation. And the main thing she said is, well, I don't know, you know, how much more of a future I see in this. I feel like he doesn't want to do anything, and he has no goals going forward in life.
Yep, that's a
and
big
so like
problem.
that is a huge red flag of like, hey, maybe I told her like maybe your intuition is right. You have to have that conversation with him of, what is he planning to do, right? If he's not going to school and he's working some BS job and he doesn't care either, he's not actively applying the jobs, he's doing nothing, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be with that person if you're having those feelings. They always, in a significant other, you always need to look for goals and aspirations. I don't want to be with a girl either that wants to be a 1950s wife anymore. I'm past that time. I don't want someone who stays at home and cooks and cleans and does, like, have your own career, have your own life. I want to see you go out and do things, and our success together will only build our relationship stronger. That's what I want to say.
That goes back to your point about not being lazy too.
Yeah, can't be lazy.
Once you just, it's like you give up, and with that, your relationship with others fades.
And what do you always say, right? What is always the classic thing? When people get in relationships, what happens to them? Physically, what happens to them?
They get fat.
They gain weight,
Well,
right?
gain weight.
Why? Because you think, oh, I have someone, so I don't need to look good anymore. I don't need to work on myself or my body.
Wrong.
Absolutely wrong.
They
Because
gotta make
that's
it,
how
man.
you keep the fire alive of always looking good and trying to be good, or buying new clothes, or doing something different to make that person continually fall in love and be attracted
But
to
it
you.
seems like they're not teaching that because people keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's been years. Nobody gets the
But
point.
it's because people get lazy.
Why
That's
see
the
the-
bottom line.
And people are just accepting that people are fat now.
And people just
That needs to stop.
And people, and also
We'll
people,
talk about that
we'll
another
talk about that another time. But people expect, though, when you get in those long-term relationships, oh, they're always going to be there. No, maybe one day you wake up and they give you a note
They might
and they
lose it.
leave.
Yep, that's
And you're
right.
back in the field.
And all those little signs you missed over that year or those 2 years that have been building up, you missed them because you were just oblivious because you were lazy.
And you know what they usually say? I never saw it coming.
Right. Always. They
you
always
went-
say that. And it's like, no, I mean, as your friend, I kind of saw it coming because I picked up on all those little social
Like,
cues.
they become numb. That's the actual thing.
Numb and
They
very
just
comfortable.
avoid everything.
And it's
then
routine.
it
It's a
explodes.
rut of like, oh, that person will always be there for me. She won't care I'm doing this. You probably shouldn't do that.
My advice is never get too comfortable. Because when you start
Never.
getting comfortable, you start to give up a little bit.
Well,
And over time...
life is gonna hit you whether you're comfortable or not.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
make sure that you're not comfortable and you're ready for
And
something.
never
Yeah.
take people. I always stress this, and because I had past relationships like this too. Like, never take your significant other for granted. That is such a disrespectful thing to do your significant other. Of like, oh, they'll
happens
do
to
this, or I don't need to tell her I'm doing this. Whatever, I'm going out with the boys tonight. Or, she might be up at home thinking that we had plans, and I said I was coming over. I blew her off and didn't even tell her. That's so disrespectful to be like.
I do believe you need to be a man
do
of your
that.
word. I
Yeah.
think if you make plans with
If
anyone...
they did that to you, you make a
Right,
whole
you would be a
freaking
huge
scene.
thing. Never take something
What?
for granted because one too many times you do that, they're gonna up and
Yeah,
leave,
exactly.
and that is that, and they're gonna go on to someone else who treats them way better.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how well you did it before, how you look,
Yep.
how you think your status, how much money you got. If you treat them like shit, people eventually are gonna move on. Especially now with they have so many ways to do it. Not like back then when you have to be
No,
stuck with your husband because there's nothing else you can
Exactly, or it's
Now-
hard to get divorced or this.
do. Yeah,
or that.
exactly. Now people can move on faster.
Yeah, I was talking. I have a lot of experiences with this stuff. That's why it's a good podcast to be on. But like, I had another friend the other day who was talking like their girlfriend literally texted them and said they were having a fight. And said, "Oh, I wish you were the way you used to be when we started dating." You never,
that's not
ever want to hear that because
No.
that means that there's a significant
You lost
problem
your
with your
way.
relationship, but you maybe lost your way, or maybe you've changed too much. Maybe it's not even a way for bad. It's not a way for the worse, but you guys don't click anymore. And that's a sign where you need to have that conversation, and that might be it. You might be just a different person than when you were 3 years ago, and maybe you're a better person for yourself, but you don't work with that person anymore. Exactly. Your goals have split off now.
Different stages.
And that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You never want to get a message like that. And don't have something drag on if, if you hear that, don't have that drag on and be like, oh, well, I've been with them forever, so I'll just keep staying with them. No. Have that conversation.
Sometimes there's scenarios when, at that certain moment, that certain stage, you break up with that person, and then years later, they both grow and they work it out. I see it all the
you might
time.
meet each other up again and be like, oh, wow, we're more mature, we're at a better stage, we're at a similar plane in life where this works now.
Or you find somebody else.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
That doesn't mean that you're never going to see that person again or that you have to block them on everything like a lot of people seem to do. Like they just want to forget about that person. Is that, you break up with that person because it's not going to work, but you have mutual respect. You're not like, fuck you.
Right.
Stuff like that. But
it never ended on poor terms. You never want to end a relationship in a scream match because you know why? Because you're going to sit on it a few days later and you're always going to have something more to say. You're always going to have something, whether nice, whether it's in a nice way or like you're going to scream again, you're always going to have that. If you guys have a mutual respect and understanding, just have a very level-headed conversation. You get that closure because if you leave it in a scream match, you'll never, ever get that.
Understand sometimes it just doesn't work out, but it's not worth just cursing the girl out. It's like, oh, fuck you, slut. That's not worth it.
Now, I want to get your guys' opinion on this one thing, right? Relationship-wise, right? So I know someone that, all different people, by the way, but I know someone that she's with her boyfriend because of what I talked about earlier, of that she doesn't have any friends herself, and she's afraid of losing those connections, his friends, and doesn't want to be alone. Isn't that such a poor dynamic to stay in a relationship that you don't want to be just because of that?
So
how do you guys feel about hearing something like that?
Do you think I feel bad for the guy because he has no idea what's going on?
No, and they've actually had the conversation before.
Oh, okay. So
he's aware of it, but he's in love with her. And so he wants to make it work. Yet that she's not really in love with who he is anymore, but she doesn't want to lose the social aspect that he provides.
Right, exactly.
So you're basically saying that she's losing her genuine desire for him.
Correct.
When that happens, basically,
but she doesn't want to lose the social aspect he provides on his end because she doesn't have any really her own social circle.
Well, that's bad.
No,
that's bad.
All right. Well, first she has to realize that maybe make some new friends.
Right.
Go somewhere. Go to
have to start
dance very insecure,
right?
Yeah.
But she didn't have any friends before.
But staying in a relationship where there's a lack of genuine desire is very risky, and you're only setting yourself up for a lot of depression, basically.
Yeah.
You don't want to be with someone that you don't want to be with. Simple as that.
You just have to start over.
If there's a lack of genuine desire, you're staying in for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure, you might lose their social circle, but technically you're not even in their social circle
you
right now.
You might even lose a few friends. What if she tries to manipulate the friendships?
Because
take some of your friends too.
Especially to his friends, you're just his girlfriend. Right. So like when that's not a thing, then you're just gonna be you're his ex-girlfriend.
Right. Like, that I can't talk to anymore.
Or you are
because...
Cheryl, or you are whatever.
Yeah.
But there's scenarios though that let's say like that social circle. There's other girls too, and then they get really close. And then the girlfriends tell the boyfriends of the other guys like, oh, don't hang out with Mark or whoever no more. He's cheating on her or something like that. Oh yeah. And then that guy loses the circle because the girl manipulated.
And you start inner conflict with all the boys or something like that.
She can do that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my girlfriend told me like I can't hang out with you no more. You just cheated on your girl. That's not right.
I would say she has
stuff like that.
Yeah. I think she has to.
Now, before
they
you
be
even
plotting,
say
they be plotting.
That same person that I just described. Mm-hmm. The other problem that they don't want to leave that person for, they don't want to leave their boyfriend for, is because they have, as we talked earlier, a set plan. They want to be married at a certain age, have kids at a certain age, and they feel like at the point in their life, at the age where they're really approaching those milestones, those fictitious milestones in their head, that they don't want to start over because they're afraid that they won't meet someone in time to meet those goals.
Oh, that's boring.
How do you feel? How do you feel about something like that?
First question: How old is she?
At the current time, 24. And so she's looking to get married by 26.
Well,
she's afraid if she has to start over and leaves her current boyfriend now, that she is not going to find someone to meet that in that time.
Okay, so let's make up a hypothetical situation that says she stays, right? Now let's skip a few years. She gets married. He proposes. They have a couple kids. She never tells him that she's lacking genuine desire, and she never hints at it with her actions. So years go by. They have a couple kids. The kid's about 7, 8 years old. Boy or girl, doesn't matter.
Right.
And the guy can tell that each passing year she gets a little worse. She gets more distant. She gains weight. He gains weight. It just becomes worse and worse. And over time, eventually, there will be some explosion. There will be a disaster. Or with the fucking internet, because I blame the internet, that something could happen. Maybe she'll make a secret Tinder, or maybe he'll go off there, or maybe they won't have sex in a long time, right? And maybe he'll want to, but maybe she won't want to.
Oh yeah.
Or it could be the opposite around too. Maybe she wants to, he doesn't want to, right? They just don't have that connection anymore, that genuine desire. So basically, the kid's also gonna be a little messed up because he sees or she sees that her parents or his parents are not communicating in a good way. So that not only are you causing a destructive relationship for yourself, now you're affecting your future children.
Yeah.
And then
so eventually of that fear of starting over.
And I agree with what you said of like boring. That was your number one reaction what you said when I said that. Because why do you want your life set on some specific scale of, okay, when I'm this age I need to do this, I need to do this. Why? Why do you need such a rigid roadmap?
Would it be if, let's say that happens, they break up, you stay single, and then you met the love of your life at 50 or 60. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. I mean, some people are meant to have, be married, have children. Maybe that doesn't happen to you. You just gotta go with the flow and just experience yourself.
And most likely it's not going to be 50.
No, I'm just saying.
But I'm saying not fertile. If she's 24, okay, let's say at 26 you're not married, but you meet that person. So now you're married at 28, 29. Okay, who cares? Yeah. You can't live with such rigid constrictions in your life. That's not how life is meant to live.
At a time, it's not going to work the way you think it's going to work.
Especially if you want to stick so rigid to those milestones that you set in your head that you'll stay in what you consider a loveless relationship. Yeah. How is that any basis for living a successful, happy life?
Yeah, well, I will say, although I know young women they're biologically predisposed to want to have children at from age 18 to 26.
Baby fever.
I do, yeah. That's definitely
a real thing.
Yeah, I know.
It is a real thing.
We know.
I saw that firsthand for you. I was scared for you, buddy.
While I can understand that she wants to have children, probably with this guy now, but what's going to happen is that she will have children. But once again, lack of genuine desire. And a woman wants to have kids, but sometimes she doesn't want to have kids with a specific person. She just wants to have kids.
Right.
And
that's a bad look, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it a bad look to just do something because you want to do it because you think society or yourself thinks you should do it? Who cares? You don't need those expectations.
It's better though, but the truth is it's better not to have a child for her with this guy right now than, it's better not to have one right now and have one later than have one now, but fake it and create a horrible family dynamic in the future. Because I know when I have kids, for example, I want it to be not obviously perfect, but I want to be in a good place. I want to make the right decision, the best decision that I can possible. So when I do have kids, they'll be in a good environment, a good world, and I want my child to see a healthy relationship between the husband and the wife. I want to see I want a healthy family. Because I see a lot of bad families right now and the children coming from those families are a little messed up. It's just the truth.
Which is natural because that's what you grow up in. We're born with very, very few things basically to breathe and to have basic body functions.
When we're young,
everything else you learn is based on the environment you're in.
When you're extremely young, your brain is like a sponge and you pick up on everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if you're growing up in a household where your mom and dad have a horrible relationship, the chances are you're going to pick up those cues, and in the future that could actually predispose you to have bad relationships.
Well, they say it with anything, right? If a girl grows up in a house, is always the one, right? Where the dad is maybe not faithful, he's not even around, right? You go seek that out in adulthood. You seek maybe an older guy. That's why they date. You have a 17-year-old going after a 30-year-old because they seek kind of the pseudo father figure. You're always trying to replace those parts in your life, and that all goes back to when you grow up in the environment you live in. So you want a healthy relationship because you want that example for your kids to have a healthy relationship.
That's why I'm saying that if this girl doesn't feel like she has that spark or she's not feeling the way she did, she knows, and she's very aware.
And I feel bad for both of them, but I really feel bad for him now. Like,
but he doesn't even know, correct?
No, he knows. He's aware of the situation, but he wants to work it out. He's so in love that he wants to work that stuff out. And I feel bad for him that I'm like, if that's me, regardless of how strong my feelings are, if I know this and I know my girl is feeling that, I need to end this.
He seems like a very optimistic guy.
Yeah, and I feel bad a lot. I really do.
The truth is, Thanos said it best, man. The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
It's true.
And
it really is.
Said it also that you must let go of all you fear to lose.
Yeah.
If you fear to lose this woman because of that, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Things you have to.
It's more than that. It's a whole investment. It's that expectation.
You don't want to invest in something that might not.
Imagine this finding out. Like, all right, now I'm not gonna get married, or like I just wasted my time. They've been dating for a while, right?
Over 3 years now.
See, that's 3 years of investment.
That's the problem. The investment takes over. I've already gone this far. I can't. No, you can start over. You're young. It's possible. Mm-hmm. You can do that.
What happens is that when you're with a certain person for so long, your identity becomes with that other person. Mm-hmm. That other person becomes one with you. Right. So when things go sideways and it doesn't work out, it's at first at least it feels like you lose a part of yourself. Your identity is shook. Your identity is mistaken.
And you're afraid how people are going to see you, right? As you go back to the internet and social media, right? If all of a sudden on Facebook you guys are not in that relationship anymore, you're going to wonder, are people going to think, what happened? Why am I not with that person? Did she break up with me or did I break up with her? What are people going to view this situation as? Who cares? It's about you. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter that 22 weeks ago you posted a great couple pic of you guys on Instagram. Okay, well, if you're broken up now, who cares? It doesn't matter. Absolutely. Archive the picture and get rid of it if you don't want to look at it.
Well, that's why it's also important that you have to kind of put yourself first in these situations, because if you do not, you can this guy could stay in this hypothetical relationship for a long time. He could. But you could try as all as you want, but the evidence is there, and sometimes you cannot escape the inevitable.
Yeah.
They already have 3 years, they already went through that phase. Now that's that phase when you want to.
This is who they really are.
Move on. And
if you're having conversations outright about you don't feel that genuine desire for him anymore. Okay, well, right there. That answers your question. You had the clear communication. Yeah. End it.
They changed. That's it.
I remember when I was in a relationship once, and it wasn't years, but it was 6 months. But there came to a point where I knew I just wasn't feeling it anymore, and I knew that even though it sucked, I had to do what I had to do, and I ended it because I knew that certain relationships will bring you down if you don't take care of it. And over time, if you're with the wrong people for so long, it could really take a damage on yourself. You won't be putting yourself first, and you'll let that person interfere with your life in negative ways. When in reality, the best thing sometimes you have to do is necessary is to end it.
Yeah.
And you have to move on. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're in your 20s, like this person, you have a lot of time. You're still very young.
Time.
And especially in the world that we live in now.
You grow to a certain period of time and then move on. That's literally what it is.
And a lot of times when people settle down, honestly, it's in your early 30s. It's when you both reach that maturity where,
when your brain is fully developed.
Boom, this is going to work, right? You can't expect 18-year-olds shouldn't be getting married because you haven't had even life experiences
your brain is not even fully developed.
Yeah, and you haven't experienced hard times in your life. You're probably still living in your parents' house, right? You maybe didn't even go to college. How could you get married? How could you have a child? That's why it's hard to have a kid young, because you didn't have those experiences yourself. Yeah. How can you pass them on to your child? You never did it.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm. So you really have to not rushing.
Yep.
You have to get yourself in a good place in life, and you have to kind of balance out the pros and cons, and you have to put yourself first and work on your future and your purpose and your passion. Of course, the right people will come along, make some friends along the way. Oh, yeah. You meet your significant other, and everyone has the different preferences on the way they want to live. What you should not do is let other people try to dictate or peer pressure you into living the way that they think you should.
And balance is key, which makes me want to transition into this topic I know you want to talk about. How do you feel about when a relationship is completely unbalanced and you can see it, where one person, whether male or female, has the utmost control, and they control that person's life, of when they go out, of who they talk to? We've touched on it a little bit, but how do you feel about those situations?
Either way?
Yeah, like when you saw the thing on Twitter this week, right? With the guy with the Lego set, right? Okay. How do you feel about seeing something like that? What do you think about that relationship when you see a post like that?
Okay, let's get into that.
I wouldn't think you would think it's a healthy relationship, right?
Okay, no, okay. Well, here's the thing. So I saw this tweet. Actually, I saw it today. There was this guy who's I guess he was in a marriage, and he was saying in this post how he had to sweet talk his wife, and he had to earn brownie points, as he put it.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yes, in order to in order for his wife to let him. This is the key word. Let him buy a it was like a Millennium Falcon
Lego
Star Wars Lego set.
Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
Now, right there, let's evaluate these keywords. Let him. Mm-hmm. What does that imply?
Well, it implies, one, that she has all the power in the relationship.
Correct.
There's no balance whatsoever, which can't be a healthy relationship at all.
There's definitely a structure, and he's not on top of that.
Yeah.
That's a term that's not coined by me. It's coined by a guy named Rolo Tomasi. I'm not going to plagiarize his work, but it's called frame, which is basically who is in charge of any social situation. For example, if you're at work, you're working under your boss's frame, or if you're living under your parents' roof, you're under your parents' frame. Mm-hmm. The word frame can go into not relationship or anything. So what it looks like is that this guy is in his wife's frame, because if he, in his mind at least, if it's his wife letting him buy something that he's worked his own money to buy, that is no.
You should never be in a situation where any time you as a significant other should be saying, "Oh, my significant other let me do this." What do you mean let me? I'm an adult. I make my own decisions. There's no let, especially for 2 years. I had to beg and plead and earn brownie points, quote unquote. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's red flag.
You're watching it through your eyes, through your perspective.
Correct.
For that guy, he probably loves that through the way he has to work out for something, or the way that he's being controlled, like he has a mom or something like that lets him.
Some people like that relationship dynamic. They really do.
It works for them.
They like being babied.
But for me, that will never happen. I
can't do that.
From what I've seen at least, this is just my experience. But women don't want to be their man's mom.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to. In my experience, from what I've seen,
there's a couple.
Some have to step up, but it's very rare.
You know? And you expect. I always think of the show Big Bang Theory, if you've ever watched it out there, where like Howard, right? He had a very controlling mother who did everything for him. He was very babied, right? So he expected his wife, when he got married, to do the exact same things for him, and she wasn't about it. Like, you have these preconceived notions, again, going back to based on previous family experiences you have, and that affects your relationships later. That could lead to unbalanced relationships where maybe that woman grew up in a very female-centric household where her mom had control over her dad. So now she grows up in that of, okay, she's now going to look for a guy that she can control and look. She's not going to look for someone who's going to speak up or say something, and that goes vice versa.
What I'm seeing right now is a lot of women who are in control of the relationships, and I see a lot of those specific relationships where they're very unhappy couples. I think that a woman wants to look to a dominant masculine man, not one who's controlling per se, but someone who I guess you could say controls the frame. Like, he's kind of a leader, because I think in my experience and what I've seen, women want to be with a leader. They want to be with a masculine role, and that's very attractive because it's masculinity and femininity, complements to each other. And if a woman does not respect the masculine in her man, if she's a feminine woman, that means there is a lack of imbalance right there in the sexual polarity. And over time, that makes a big difference.
And they do give you a chance, especially when you start first dating. They give you that chance to see, to feel what type of man you are. But eventually, as they start to realize that you're not taking charge and that you're able to get manipulated by everybody else, they're going to do that too.
Well, what happens?
That's when you get to those bad relationships you're talking about. But most likely, when you meet, like when I see friends, they start dating, I see their relationship, and then you wait a few months. You see that everything just changed.
There's always a honeymoon phase.
Exactly.
I hate when people say like, "Oh, that's a myth." It's not. No, it's a real
thing.
It is real.
It's a real thing. I think the honeymoon phase lasts between 12 and 18 months.
Sometimes it's way shorter than that.
Sometimes it can be way shorter.
The longest is it. But like, I think what happens in a lot of relationships, like where the attraction with a woman and man is high, the woman views that guy as alpha. Like her hindbrain kind of registers him as alpha, and as time goes on, I guess if the guy kind of like shows a lot of feminine traits, like he starts out really strong, but then over time he kind of likes her kind of boss around. That sexual polarity kind of like gets rid of, and he kind of like he loses his frame, and she becomes the head of the household. And if that's not how it starts, like if a woman like becomes like has to become masculine because her man becomes feminine, and the sexual polarity a twist, when in reality The woman wants to just kind of lay back and be feminine, and she wants to like just be in the presence of a real dominant man. But that man in the future becomes weak, and he kind of like shows a lot of like weakness and stuff like that. It creates a lot of imbalance, and eventually a woman's hindbrain goes to seeing you as an alpha male. She kind of sees you as like beta because
it's more like you said before. It's more of a complement each other, right? Mm-hmm. So if she knows for the beginning that you're this type of person, and she's looking for that certain thing, like if she knows she can control you, right? And that's what complements her because she's a bossy type of person, then she's gonna go for it, right? But if there's a feminine girl and that she sees that you seem to be a masculine guy, but eventually sees that you're not that type of guy, she'll break up with you and leave you. Yeah. But that girl that always wanted that, to boss around, she'll manipulate you and she'll stay with that, So it's kind of like a compliment type of thing. It depends on the girl you're going out with. Depends what stage you're in. Depends, how experienced you are with other relationships. Yeah. But you're definitely right. You want to be, if she can tell that you're a free man, you don't have to be the most masculine, whatever stereotype. Yeah. But if she knows you're free and you're able to say no when it has to be said, right, then she'll respect that and she'll know that you're not gonna be pushed by anybody and herself, and that she's looking for that. That's her compliment. That you gotta rock, exactly. She knows you're free.
And see, so to push back on kind of some things you're saying, I don't think it's as blanketed as the way you see it, right? I don't think it's a sweeping generalization of, okay, this is the household of the man and the woman and things like that. I think it's important that sometimes the dynamics of your relationship are different in different arenas of that relationship, right? So, like, for example, right? The female might be more, if we're talking about a heterosexual relationship, she might be more controlling or more of the head of household financially, right? She makes more of the money than you do, something like that. That doesn't mean that the whole household is run by her. There's a balance there where maybe in the arena, in the bedroom and sex-wise, I'm the dominant one, right? Yeah. And so I control that arena where she understands that and recognizes that, and she likes that kind of arena. Just because one is above in this aspect of your life, it doesn't have to be all the way through. It's the guy of finances, of the bedroom, it's of this, it's of that. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different buffers that definitely.
Like in most cases in a relationship, if heterosexual wise, right? Even if the female is leading a financial thing, right? Is she also going to be the one that expects to, if something happens, be the protective one? No. Exactly. She's still expecting the guy to step up in that situation. If, God forbid, something happens where you're attacked or there's a break in your house, right? As the male, right, you're leading that arena where you're the one being protective over her and the whole family. That dynamic is controlled by you. So there's different dynamics in your own household in that relationship.
That's a good example. A woman wants to be
aware of it and work it together.
That's a good example. Like a woman wants to be with a man who, like if you're sleeping next to your wife, 3 o'clock in the morning and someone breaks in your house, she wants to know that you can get up and you can beat that motherfucker
Right,
down.
Just because she makes more of the money doesn't mean, she's going to go do that. No, that wasn't her job. That's your job in that situation. You control that area of the arena, and that makes her have love and protection and feel safe in you. And it doesn't matter that you're not leading every single part of your household. That in 2020 now, that does not matter. It matters that are you guys equal in some way, shape, or form where not one or the other is leading every single aspect of your household. I think that's where problems arise now.
Also, when the person becomes like a pushover, like just lets anything goes and doesn't like stand up for himself, and like a person will get disrespected and they keep letting it happen. Yeah, indecisive. I think, like, for me, like, I like to be, like, direct. I like to know what I want, and I'm, I know what I want. And if someone is with me on my mission, then great. And if not, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out. But sometimes people let themselves get pushed over by their significant other, and it creates a lot of more imbalances because you let yourself go. You let yourself get pushed around.
You lie to yourself. Just because of that fear, you wanna.
Or you're trying to impress your significant other, but that doesn't always work because sometimes you lose yourself trying to impress someone else.
Right.
So if you're married to someone,
you find out who you are eventually.
Oh yeah, they always do. They always find out.
You can only hide your true self for a certain amount of time until it all comes out, and it will.
But speaking to that imbalance and using the example I just used, right? If you're constantly a pushover in every arena of that life, right, and she's controlling you and taking it to you, and she knows you're never going to say no, right? Is she also, if a situation comes up, going to feel safe with someone that's always a pushover, and that she can always push you over? Why is she going to feel safe with you if anything happens?
Well,
right?
Yeah, there might be a situation in which she doesn't think that you'll go beat that guy's ass at 3 a.m.
Right.
Maybe her hindbrain might not recognize you as that guy.
Just even from he doesn't even have to be a hindbrain, from a literal survival perspective, right?
Well, yeah.
If you don't trust the person you're living with, and you don't trust that person's going to be able to defend you or your kids, why would you want to be with someone?
Exactly,
like that,
and
right?
that lowers attraction as well.
Exactly.
Well, that doesn't even come up to like this day of age, the thinking of that, that survival aspect, because like. People don't think about that no more.
It's a real thing, though. Everyone has different roles in a relationship, and you need to know when your role is that role and when to step up in that role. Always.
You really need to know who you are before you enter a relationship with anyone.
Yep.
If you want to be exclusive with someone, you need to know yourself.
You need to be comfortable and happy with yourself.
Yeah, you need to be comfortable with the person you're becoming.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Or you need to at least know that you're striving to be someone better. Like you always want to be.
You have to express it that way. Other people know who you are, and that way nobody's lying to each other.
Always be evolving. The worst thing you can do is try to act like someone else in a relationship.
Or don't work on yourself. I see so many people that they're in a relationship, and 2 weeks later they're in another relationship because that one ended. Because they're so afraid to be by themselves constantly. Exactly. That's not a healthy way to live life either.
Sometimes you have to be by yourself. And if you're technically not always by yourself, if you have a good friend group, which goes back to once again, don't neglect your friends.
Never.
Don't stub it. Because I see it all the time. I really do.
Yeah.
People will throw their friends away for their significant other. I don't know if it's because of the sex or it's because of but they throw it all. Even family too. It might not just be friends.
And I bet that guy, going back to the Lego set, right? I bet he does that, or he's done that at some point in the relationship. I bet he's neglected his friends. I bet he's neglected his family or his own personal wants.
She won't let him go out.
Exactly. Like if he has to beg 2 years and win brownie points, quote unquote, for a Lego set, how do you think the rest of the more important things of his life are going? Right? That's not a healthy dynamic whatsoever.
Is that the kind of man
do I have to beg for 3 months to go with my boys to the bar? Like, is that what I have to do in this relationship? Like, that's not good at all.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of
that's why
before you do
the
that.
The keyword just let him. That's no.
You never want to hear "let" in any way, shape, or form. I let that person do that. What do you mean you let me?
I let my man go to the bar with his friends tonight. If that ever happens to me, I don't think it's gonna work out.
I have a question to get into this topic because it relates to me.
Oh, okay.
You just talk about the concept of getting into different relationships based on insecurity. But what if the case is that if you're a sociable person and let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, and then let's say like a week or 2 weeks after, since you're sociable and you get to talk to people and stuff like that, you have another prospect. Okay. And you feel like you're in a place that you can do it and stuff like that. Then what would you think then? Do you think that you still need a certain amount of time, like months, years, before you get into a relationship? Or if you see that as a sociable person and with an abundance mentality, you see yourself that, all right, like I moved on with this person, I broke up with that person, yes, I have this possible girl that wants to get that interest in me. Should you not give that chance because you think you need time to recover, or can you recover with somebody else too and grow from that? That doesn't mean that you have to because that's a chance that you can miss on somebody.
No. I definitely.
Being non-exclusive.
Excuse me?
Did you mean like being not? I'm
sure. No, just getting to know somebody.
Right. But
that chance, but you have that fear that it's been only a week after a breakup.
Right.
Will I be insecure of that? Because that happens to me often. Where I'm talking to somebody, then something happens that I'm not talking to that person, and then like a week or two, something like there's a potential person that I can meet. Okay. Should I be afraid of that?
I think
if I'm not looking for it, if not, I'm not like, oh my god, let me go on Tinder and start swiping and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it just happens to be.
No, I actually think that's a great question, Joe. I think everyone heals in different ways, and so sometimes going through something, like when I was screwed over by my ex years ago, right? Yeah. It took me a long time of healing in terms of long-term relationships, right? I didn't want to do that again. However, it didn't take me as long of a time to just talk to people and flirt and hook up and things like that. You need to be completely 100% honest with yourself and never make yourself feel guilty or never make yourself feel bad about yourself that, what is this person going to think if they know that I'm talking to someone a week later because maybe you see this person or you come in interaction or you're friends with someone and they're going to go back and tell that person. That doesn't matter. It matters about you. And so if you had a really bad breakup and it takes you 6 months to really talk to anyone in that way again, that's totally fine. If you had a breakup and maybe it was more, it was mature and you guys drifted apart, and a week later you meet someone who's a prospect and you got this really good energy and you could see maybe a future with them or something, there's nothing wrong with there's no set time limit on when to move on in your life.
The answer will be, if you know, you know.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself and have a legitimate conversation of, what am I looking for? I just got out of a long-term exclusive relationship. It ended, let's say, well. Am I ready to talk to anyone in that way again? Am I immediately looking for a long-term relationship again because that's what I want? Or am I looking for way more of a casual thing? Like, you need to talk to yourself about that. And I think, going back to what I said, is there's a difference between constantly a girl or a guy being in a relationship over and over because they don't want to be alone, or because they're ready to move on because they found something really good that they think can be something. You have to determine that
Especially in those
difference.
scenarios, I feel like when the insecurity aspect, it's mostly that person that just got that breakup that they asked for that relationship. Like, oh, do you want to be my girlfriend now or something like that?
Don't rush it.
You can talk to people still regardless.
Exactly. You can definitely talk, be casual, keep things light. And I think doing that, it tests your emotional stability in that moment, right? It's kind of a gauge of where you're at, of like, maybe you start talking and you think you're good, right? And all of a sudden something triggers in yourself where you're like, I'm not ready for this.
You get emotional.
Right? And you're like, okay, boom, I'm going to take a step back and I'm not ready to do something like this. Or maybe you go in and you're like, this feels good. Like, I feel like I'm strong enough that, all right, my past relationship over, I can move on now and I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
It's all about taking the opportunities and then just analyzing whether it's worth it.
Definitely.
Or no.
And having those times where you're alone, and maybe, like, I know a lot of times you like to go out and walk yourself or go to the park or to have those moments of reflection. Those are key moments to determine where you're at in your own head.
Definitely.
I would also add, the basic words of trust your instinct. Definitely. Your instinct will not lie to you. It won't lie to you. It's who you are. You instinctually know who you are.
And don't ever think there's something wrong with yourself in that moment, right? Don't think of yourself if you're not ready to hook up with that someone a week later after, oh man, I'm weak, I'm such a bitch, No. Maybe you're just not ready for that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Everyone has their own pace.
You just gotta be open, because sometimes people may get too analytical about it. Just see what happens and you'll know. But just gotta go through the experience and then.
And if you're confused about something like that, do what you just did now. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to someone about it, and get other opinions on people who've had other life experiences, and they can help you out in determining what you want to do going forward.
I think it's good to get different perspectives on that kind of stuff, because what you can do is you can talk to different people about the situation. You can get different opinions. I like to do this myself. I like to think of a topic, and I like to ask different people's opinions about that topic. That way I can get different thoughts out of my head, and I can make my own decisions based on what I've learned from others.
Different people who come from different backgrounds. I don't want to jump into the same pool of, I ask 5 people and they're all currently in a long-term relationship.
Give you that reassurance that you're gonna
exactly. Well, now they have a biased perspective of how they're going to spin this. But if I talk to someone who's in a long-term relationship, someone who's flirting with someone who's by themselves, someone who's recently single, someone who's recently divorced, everyone will have a different perspective, and I can gauge that, put everything together, and make my own thesis of how I'm feeling, and put it back on me and go, okay, I see myself as a part of this. I'm not this, and that's it.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's how I try to determine decisions. You got to get a broad perspective of this.
Sometimes it's really good to really pick up on things, and it's always good to be learning something. Try to evaluate yourself, and always that's how you always be evolving.
People get comfortable, right, in their own social circles, or they're in the own things of, okay, I like hanging out with people that only do this. Well, now you're going to have a very limited view on life of where you're going.
Exactly.
You need to have different friend groups or different people that, okay, this is this group that they don't have to specifically do things, but maybe this group of friends, they do this for me and my emotional needs or the things I need. This group does something else. Like you have to.
Age groups, different backgrounds,
different lifestyles, different everything. All that's important.
That's a good point. Definitely.
Yeah. No, what else do you want to talk about, man? Or do you want to wrap it up? It's up to you.
We got all night. I wish. Oh man,
there's
Mike, how do you feel about these things? Chime in for us.
There was something I was gonna say while you guys were talking about the whole. When Joe was bringing up the question about is it okay to go into another relationship? Because for a long time when I first started dating women.
Right.
Well, at the time they were just I was only 15.
They were girls.
They were girls at that time.
Little girls.
Girls
smell nice.
I was not a man. They were not a woman. Whatever.
Yeah.
But.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, like I used to go when I was get out of a relationship. I would not instantly, but it would be like either like a week. Sometimes it would be a couple days. It all depended. Right. But I felt after, and I'll get there, but it was after my last breakup that I realized that I was only doing this because there was something inside me that was...
You're trying to fill a void.
Fill in a void. Mm-hmm. Now, I am an only child, so like I don't have, other than friends, anyone there.
Right.
Other than my parents. So like, if I don't have like friends that I'm always hanging out with or whatever, I like always it's there to be somebody. So and I finally realized that was the reason. And so after I broke up with my last girlfriend, and I was having all my mental issues, I said I'm not dating nobody.
Right.
And I didn't date anybody for a fucking year until I started dating who I'm dating right now.
Right.
So,
but you went through a lot of things to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that speaks to I always see that people that grow up only child and they have no siblings whatsoever. The issue that becomes is not even relationship wise, but just friendship wise, right? Is you don't have that brother or sister where you can test someone, right? And know what you can do and what you can do and what you can't do and what that person likes or don't like. So when you go out in the friend world and now you have to test this, gauge this thing, that can lead to different things where people might not like you because they had all those past experiences with siblings. They did those play fights, they did this or that or play with this toy or that toy, and now you're having to learn it for the first time with complete strangers. So it's a much harder, I think, start on life when you're by yourself of building social interactions and building friendships and then later building relationships. So I think you've done pretty well.
Yeah. I've been doing well with friends. Andrew's been my friend for over 10 years, and I have a friend I've been friends with since preschool. Yeah. He lives in.
But it's like West if you grew up with, like, let's say there's a 2-year age gap, right? And you grew up with a brother, right? If you learn how to talk to that brother and how you communicate with someone else who's a male
right there.
Your own age, right? So it's way easier and you go to kindergarten, you go to 2nd grade or something, and you're with other dudes, right? You know how to talk to them because I had talked to my brother, right? But like when you're an only child, right, you didn't have any of those experiences. The people in your household are adults. They can't relate to you or things you like or the times that you're in. So it's a lot harder to mix and interact with that.
You've had to find yourself before you were able to like be exclusive.
Exactly. You had a lower starting point than the rest of us.
Yeah.
It was harder for you to get that jump point.
I start from the underground.
Exactly.
To get up.
Basically we had a ramp to go into those social interactions, and you were just driving straight through.
Yeah, I just wing it.
Yeah.
Here I go. Pretty much how it is.
No, it's definitely a good point.
Yeah, guys, benefits and the cons, but you made it work for yourself, so that's what matters.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Let's take a small break and let's talk about this channel's sponsor.
So our sponsor today is All Gains Apparel, as you know. We actually so this is going up on Monday, so that's when our new hoodies, customizable hoodies, will be going live on our website and on the Facebook, Instagram shops. It's pretty much a small, thin hoodie. You can wear it at the gyms. It's got a very thin hood, but it's mostly for working out. And I know people that are actually watching it on YouTube will see me put my hood on because it actually is really nice. And you can put your name on here, change the color, change the outline of it. They're really nice.
They're actually really comfortable. I tried it on before.
God.
I'm not even like anyone who buys our stuff knows that it's actually really comfortable. I'm not even lying.
These are this is a prototype that I'm wearing right now. Yeah. And it actually feels really nice. I had made one for a coworker for a Secret Santa, and she loves it. I got it with her name on it and everything, and she absolutely loves it. So I can recommend that this is actually really good.
I agree.
Definitely on. It's going up on Monday, so definitely check it out after you see this video. Definitely go to allgainsapparel.com. Look for it. It should say customizable hoodie. be
I
part
assume
of the
you'll link everything.
Yeah,
below
everything's always linked in the descriptions of either the podcast from Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
All purchases donate, help this channel thrive. So
yeah, if you definitely like to support us, definitely do that, and it'll help us create more. We are trying to do a podcast every other week for right now, starting 2020. We're trying to get a good schedule going for both videos and podcasts. Trying to do at least one video a week right now. So that's what we have going on. We definitely want to keep that up. So definitely make sure you keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing. We appreciate you all very much, and thank you. And I think that's the end of our sponsor segment right there.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. Bye now.
Exactly. Okay.
Man, I can't. Yeah. Oh, back. We're back. Back to the podcast. Well, I can't believe it's like 1:30 in the morning. See, this is what I think it's beautiful that a group of people can come together, can talk 1:30 in the morning about some stuff, man. I think it's just beautiful, man.
Especially after we've had long days with work and everything, and I think we just naturally have conversations flow.
I think that's
hopefully it's helping someone out there.
Yeah, I really wanna say things that can someone can really help. Because you never know. You could say something and it could change someone's life. Exactly. And I think it brings it really is. I feel like it's my purpose to try to spread some positive messages out there because you never know when someone out there is going to hear something and it might, oh my gosh, that's me. I can relate to that. I can use that information to actually help. Yeah. You just never know.
Mm-hmm. I've done that on other podcasts, and whether you're listening to us on a long drive or you're doing chores around the house or you're actually just sitting there watching the video or eating dinner or something, I think it's important when I listen to some kind of form of entertainment that it makes me smile or it makes me laugh or it gives me something where I'm walking away and I'm learning something. I think
you can relate.
Yeah, relation is a huge thing too. That's what provides positive entertainment. So I hope we're doing that for you out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful than it doesn't have to be like a man or a woman per se, but any kind of relationship, friendship, it's great when people with similar mindsets, they vibe. And
they're open about it.
You can tell they have good chemistry, and that's where good memories are made.
But I like too that we all don't say the same thing. We all have different life experiences, but we also can push back on each other and go, I don't agree here, I agree here, things like that. I think that also makes a well-rounded experience.
I like it because you don't just fuck you then and just walk off.
Yeah. No, you can have a mature, kind of dynamic, an intellectual conversation.
I think that determines a level of maturity is if you can have intelligent conversation with people, you can agree and disagree, but I think the measure of your maturity can measure of how well you can carry conversations and not get too butthurt over it.
Yeah, exactly. And being detached to your own opinions, that there's different people, different cultures.
You cannot agree with everything anyone ever says, but it's always good I like to share ideas. I think that's what we do best as our species. What we're best at is communicating and sharing different ideas with each other and learning off each other. I think that's how we've evolved as a species, and that's how we're going to continue to evolve.
We're thinking creatures sometimes. For the worse, but for the most part, it ends up yielding positive results. And I would say whether friendships or relationships, it's important to always take in those other perspectives and always listen to your significant other. And remember, I would say, maturity has no set age. Okay. Don't look at someone and go, oh, that person's 35. I could be in a good relationship with them. Well, you know what? That 35-year-old might be super immature because they've had way different life experiences. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that 20-year-old that you think, I don't know, there's maybe a 4-year age gap. It's too different. They're way more mature because they went through way harder points in life and they had to grow up way faster. So never take that bias, I would say, and always gauge that maturity and have conversations with people. That was something I definitely wanted to say. That maturity has no age. Don't make any assumptions whatsoever.
And everyone's different. So if your instinct is telling you that you might not be compatible with certain people,
it's probably right.
Trust your instinct.
It's probably right.
Exactly.
Because sometimes we really try to make relationships work that are just not worth it. Mm-hmm. You can be spending your time better forming new relationships than trying to dig up old relationships that have gone nowhere.
Yeah, you make that illusion that something is a certain way when in reality it's not, but you know it, but you don't want to accept it. You got to take out those glasses and see for what it is.
Look at the little cracks that you couldn't see before.
That's like if someone's cheating on you and you keep putting up with it and you keep staying in that relationship because you don't want to start over. Well, sometimes starting over will be a lot better than dealing with that same old relationship that's just not it's not going to work.
And it's not going to be pretty.
It's never. We're not going to lie to you out there and say that it's going to be easy. It's not. Breakups, any of that stuff is very difficult. Everyone deals with it differently. I always try to tell people that the most important thing is when you go through a breakup like that, remember that you still have yourself. And hopefully you have friends out there. And having those positive vibes and finding that little light in the darkness can get you through some of the hardest days. Yeah. So you have to remember to do those things. Oh, I had a crappy week, but I got to see the boys here. We went out one night. Awesome. That saved my whole week. That gave me that little bit of hope that I know I could keep pushing on, and I might devolve back into another poor day. All of that is natural. You're not supposed to be immediately happy when something that significant in your life ends. Take your time of mourning, heal yourself, go out there.
Yeah. And a big factor is to be real to yourself and to others too. Yep. There's no shame in your friends knowing that you're going through a breakup and that they know that you
That's
don't
why
have
they're
to
your friends. They're supposed to be there for you through all your bad patches, through all your scars and all the things you're showing. They're not supposed to judge that. They're supposed to help you the best that they can.
Exactly.
That's important.
Spend your time with people who are worth spending time with. Like, I could have a horrible week and then I can hang out with my best friends and boom, you just have one of the greatest nights ever.
And remember what you said, going back to the question you asked, right? Never think that I'll never find anyone else. You don't know. You don't know. And that person could come a week from now, a year from now, but open yourself, open your eyes, open your ears to those possibilities.
Or it could be nobody. But that doesn't mean that your life is not going to be interesting. No. It's not going to be fun.
During that time, build yourself. Build yourself career-wise. Build yourself. Go back to school. Do something. Improve your friendships. Try a new hobby or learn a new skill. Learn a new language. Build yourself. Always keep striving towards positivity.
That's the best thing you can do. That's the best option. It's either that or self-destruct.
Yeah. My motto that I've had for many years now is never stop striving for greatness. Never stop that.
Chase excellence.
The moment you stop doing those things is the moment you stop building yourself, and you are in a rut in your life, and you're probably going to be unhappy.
Always never be chasing excellence.
Always.
Not women.
Yeah, exactly. Or man or anything else. That's probably the best advice we can give you here.
Yeah, it's you have to always be evolving. Always be striving for more.
Always.
And don't neglect your friends. I highly emphasize that. That's one of the things I live by.
It happens a lot, man.
I emphasize that because I see so many times of people who neglect their friends.
It's the most common thing in new relationships. Always. They just shut everybody out, and you only see that person. That's why they call it a honeymoon phase. Is everything is right and nothing is bad, and it's we're gonna be together forever, and then usually the period I give it is 4 months from when you actually start dating till 4 months later. That for me is your honeymoon period in my mind, and then everything after is gonna show. Are you guys gonna be together forever or the long term, or is this gonna end real quick, real fast?
Yeah, even someone in a bad relationship will still they'll spend all their time and effort trying to fix that relationship, then trying to make new relationships, or trying to get back with their friends and hang out with their friends. Yeah. They'll focus all their time and energy on a failed relationship that's not going anywhere, and still neglect their friends.
The most hated thing I despise when people say, "Oh, I found my person. I found my one. I found."
There is no one.
There is no one. Could you have that person that you spend the rest of your life with? Absolutely. That is my person. Things like that. That doesn't mean that immediately I know it's this person. Even though we've had all these troubles, I'm gonna stay with this person because that's it. No, there's what, almost 8 billion people in the world.
That's your soulmate for the present.
Exactly. And you
it's just your turn.
They don't tell you. You can find a soulmate for your future. How much are you willing? Exactly. How much are you willing to communicate and accept that sometimes that person was a soulmate for the present? They're not my soulmate for the future, for the forever. That's okay. You'll find out, and you can move on and find that person. There is maybe that one person out there, but there really isn't. Well, you can have your one person that you vibe with, and that's your one person, but never think that, that person loved me and they broke up with me. I'll never find anyone else because that was my one. No, there will always be a connection of someone else out there.
Exactly. The truth is that there are good ones and there are bad ones, but there is no one. That is the truth, and a lot of people will not.
I hate when people say that, man. I hate that. It's such a narrow mindset because you limit yourself of possibilities, and never also think, if you're in a relationship, never think that, my other relationship was good like this, so I need to do it the same way to make this new relationship like this. No.
Sometimes every
relationship is completely different because it's a completely different person that you're dating. You need to evolve with that and not try to constrain yourself to, my ex, never say that. Never say, me and my ex did this. Never bring up those words in any form ever in a relationship.
That's gonna be
you
a no
never
for me.
want to do that.
Don't bring the past.
No.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Big no.
Open yourself to new experiences with someone else.
And you know what the best part is? Every different person that you're with, actually, it makes you into a better person because you gain experience and you gain knowledge to do that.
And it's a different dynamic, right? Like maybe my past relationship, we were way more flirty and hilarious in the jokes we made with each other. And maybe this one's more a serious, but more an intimate and emotional level.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that the other one was bad. It's just that you just have different degrees of how you mesh with those different people, and they both could have been really positive relationships.
You just have to analyze and
that's it. Biggest takeaway here is don't neglect your friends. I'll say that forever. I don't care.
That's gonna be in your description on this video.
Yeah, basically. You know, every relationship is different, and I think you always need to just be striving to be your best self, because if you're not your best self, you're not going to put your full 100% in anyone else.
Nope. So. And you're not going to put that into your significant other. If you're not giving 100% and trying yourself, how are you going to try for someone else?
Exactly. So we're going to end on that note.
Yeah. And thank you, Pete and Joe, for coming and
thanks for having me.
Having us talking.
Yeah, we fucking love you guys.
Time, guys.
I also thank all the listeners and the viewers as well that they actually watch and listen and share and like. Thank you very much. We appreciate you always. And do you want to wrap this up, Andrew? You want to say goodbye to everybody, or do you want me to do it?
See you guys later. Peace out.
We'll catch you guys
it's like
in the next
2 a.m.
one. I'll see you soon. We'll see you guys very soon.
Have a good one, guys.
We'll be back.
See you later.